our biggest lesson is kind of what we realized ourselves is we carried ourselves in a reputable way in a business that it's acceptable to be a sleazebag, or it's not acceptable, but it's normal.
You can get away with it.
People do get away with it.
Yeah.
So there's these three guys that believe in hospitality, are nice, and
Yeah.
you know, these college bartenders, they bring their parents to say, hey, I know you have a problem with me working at a bar on 6th Street, but come meet the owners. Then you'll get it. And then we are truly honored to meet our staff members' parents. And they're like, oh, I get it. Not every bar is like that. Well, landlords caught on to our success at Chug and Monkey. So they're like, I want to deal with guys who pay rent on time and smile and tuck in their shirt and look me in the eye when they shake my hand. So we just started getting offers to take over spaces.
This episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, owner of Mama Betty's Tex Mex, Jason Carrier. My man Jason, are you feeling unstoppable today?
Very much so.
Dude, I'm stoked to be here. I want to give a little nod to our boy, Forrest Higdon, over at Gumby's Pizza in San Marcos. So
Yeah.
Forrest is somebody I know a bunch of times. We encountered each other at the Restaurant Systems Pro elite group, like get-togethers across. Like we come together all across the country, and this guy is always looking out for me, and very smart dude. And he found that I was coming here, and he said, "You got to talk to my boy Jason."
That's awesome.
We made it happen. I'm stoked. We actually got on the phone before I came in here, and he told me all these things about you, man.
Yep.
So I know this is going to be a good one. I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, let's get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
Just get a little bit better every day.
Just get a little better every day.
It's basically stay off cruise control.
Yeah.
And what can we do today to just get a little bit better so being good, being busy is easy,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to think so much.
Yeah. Two things come to mind. Simon Sinek. I don't know. Are you familiar with Simon Sinek?
No.
Start with Why. He has another book out there called The Infinity Game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about like this. It's like the future businesses that are going to pull ahead are the ones that have infinity games, where their mission statements have no end.
Yeah.
And when you are competing against yourself, when you're just trying to be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, then that is an infinity game.
That's great.
What
I
are your
relate
thoughts
to
on
it.
that? Yeah.
And as it applies to the restaurant, we're here. I mean, we're full. How can we make this better? You know, how do we have less screw ups? What can we change to make coming to work easy?
Yeah.
And how can we turn around and see sales and think back, man, that was easy. How can we make our jobs easier? And which makes them more enjoyable.
The other thing that came to mind is EOS. So EOS is like I'm on the EOS train right now, man. I just had Mark C. Winters, the author of Rocket Fuel, on the show, and we were talking about how EOS, or how like the entrepreneurial operating system, is really a path to bring you to wherever you're trying to be in the future. So if you have a 5-year plan, how can I get one step closer to that 5-year goal today?
Yep.
And it forces you to be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday. So with those two things, I think we can get into your story. So where does it make sense to start sharing your story, man?
I guess where we are right now, and then how we got here.
Okay.
So we're sitting inside of Mama Betty's Tex Mex. It's a restaurant in North Austin that came out of basically COVID. So I named it after my mother, right? So I used to be in the bar business for many years. I still am. They were all shut down during COVID. Everyone has their COVID story. And the closest restaurant to my actual house was a Mexican restaurant that I ate at because I love Tex Mex, but I didn't love the place. Well, it shut down. It was already on its way out, but it shut down. And I'm stuck at home with 3 kids, my wife and me, and I'm just washing dishes all day and eating and trying to figure out what time I'm going to pour my first margarita.
So how many years ago is this?
This is 2020.
Okay.
Was when this became an idea.
Got it.
Because in my mind, I was losing everything. I had 5 bars that were open.
Got it.
1 in Nashville, 2 in Houston, and 2 in Austin.
Okay.
So I came to this door, and I saw the number on the door, and I called basically the landlord's broker and said, I'd really like a crack at that space, and it needs a restaurant. I had never, all of my bars in the past have had kitchens, but I've never focused on food. We've always sold 5 to maybe 10% food. It's just high volume bars.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here looking around like, oh man, I need to do a restaurant, and the only thing that makes sense for me to do would be Tex Mex, because that's what I grew up eating. That's where my mom worked growing up. But I don't know how to cook. I still don't know how to turn on the oven or anything like that.
You don't need to know, as long as you know somebody who does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The most successful entrepreneurs out there are good at building teams. That's the skill. Yeah.
Yes.
Surrounding yourself with those people, creating opportunity for others. Before we kind of dive deeper into that backstory, I would love to learn like how with 5 restaurant or 5 bars that serve food under your belt,
Yeah.
and like starting from scratch, like getting like to like clean the whiteboard,
Yeah.
and like do it all over. Like I'm really excited to tap into that. But paint the picture. Like what is Mama Betty's today? How many seats?
We have about 180. We have 180 when it's the weather is nice. We have an uncovered patio that seats about another 60.
Okay, so like 240 when you're all cylinders.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Full service
bar.
Tex Mex,
which everybody loves Tex Mex. At least in
man.
Texas they do.
I love it when I get a Mexican restaurant on the show, because I'm like, I'll stick around for some food after, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really been, I mean, from the beginning, it's the scare getting this off the ground. I've done a lot. My partners and I did a lot in the bar business, and I kind of went on my own with my family to do this. So getting this off the ground at the time I had to do it with no access to bank loans was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
We'll get into that too, for sure. I always love talking about how you got the money. But I'm curious, in terms of volume, you don't have to share total revenue. I won't stop you.
I don't know. Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm proud to say that in our first full year was 2023, and we did 5.1 million.
Wow.
And I was like,
First year.
We opened in 2022 in March, but our first calendar year was 2023.
Yep.
And
4.5 million.
5.1.
5.1. Where'd I get?
And that was 2023. And this is a time, right now, we're in a time when a lot of restaurants are going in the wrong direction, even in Austin. And I'm proud to say that in the trailing 12 months, we're up to 6.5 million.
Wow.
And we're in a shopping center in the suburbs, in a space that was doing, the previous restaurant was probably doing 1 million a year.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I'm pinching myself.
So, okay, now you could be doing, 10 million a year, but if you're not running a tight ship, you might not be making money. Well, I'm sure you probably be making something of those types of numbers. But like in terms of costs, prime costs,
Sure.
labor, where are your prime costs at? Cost of goods?
So for the first year and a half, I was fighting 71% prime.
Oh, wow.
Too high. Down to 67, 66. We tightened up, and it's such a beast. Like these restaurants are such big like ships that you can't just turn on a dime. It took forever. But I'm proud to say I have prime costs down to 57, 58%, and we're on our way. And it's the team that's been here. Most of the guys here now have been here since the first year, and it is literally a daily grind at fighting labor and cost of goods.
So you're not in Austin, Texas, are you?
Yeah, we're barely on the north tip of Austin.
Barely in Austin, Texas.
We're almost Cedar Park.
Okay. What about like occupancy costs, or where are you with your rent and where does that fall?
3%.
3%.
Yeah, 3.5.
Wow. I mean, when you're doing, I guess
it was during COVID as well.
Okay.
And we're in a shopping center.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, man, you're doing some numbers.
So I didn't know what my net operating income needed to be. I just knew I needed to make it and then figure it out. But it got as low as negative. I mean, we were relatively busy, but we were losing money. And this past period, we got up to over 20% net operating income, closer to 25.
Wow. So 25% profit.
Yeah.
Wow, man. That's okay. So
stupid.
We're going to unpackage. That is awesome, man. It's something to be said about this business model too. I feel like Mexican restaurants just, I don't know if it's because of the volume of margaritas they're pushing out or like what's going on. You got to meet with Steve Brown, didn't you?
Yes. He was awesome. What's funny, I met with Steve before I even remodeled this place.
Oh, really?
Forrest said you need to meet. Forrest is a great connector. And
he connected us.
And he's super smart. But he's also super smart because he knows he doesn't know everything, and he asks questions. So for years, when he's had challenges, maybe with selling alcohol at his restaurant at Gumby's, he knows to call his bar friend, me, to ask questions. I mean, maybe I don't have the answer, but the smartest people, they pull knowledge from everywhere that they can.
That's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to get perspective.
Yes.
And to learn from there. And like when I started this podcast, I was like, I'm going to find the way. And then when I learned that there is no one way, there's so many variables, man. You really have to pull from all these different perspectives and craft a way that makes sense for you, your values, your vision, your destination, your strengths, your weaknesses, your market. There's so many variables that play into it.
Yeah. And so he introduced me to Steve. So Steve came down before. I may have signed the lease, but I hadn't even started demoing the previous restaurant. And he and his lovely wife came in, and they sat here. And I just asked him questions, kind of the same, I knew how I kind of wanted to do things, but I wanted to hear how he did things. And he's brilliant. He was a wealth of knowledge. I met Steve Brown. Yeah, Steve
Brown, episode 917. I had him on the show. He is the El Presidente and chief busboy.
Yeah,
I think he calls himself the El Presidente, or he's like at Busboy Restaurant Group, but he's like cheap busboy is what he wants people to call him.
That's awesome.
And he's got a really amazing story. He got to write himself a $1 million check. It was always a life dream of his to be able to write himself a $1 million check, and he was able to do that out of the profit of his restaurant. So I think that it's a great story. Check it out, episode 917. And you know what? There's something else I want to pay homage to real quick. It's the culture of the people that are behind Restaurant Systems Pro, not just the organization, Fred Langley and the people that he employs, but also the culture of the restaurateurs who just support each other.
Yep.
And that is one of the biggest reasons why I love being a part or like promoting that organization, is that they just have this culture of restaurateurs of just sharing knowledge and knowing that we go further together. So I don't need to go much more into that, but I just want to pay homage to that. And
well, real quick, that's actually, I think you remember this, that's where I met you, because Forrest invited me to an elite members meeting, and he got special permission from Fred to allow me to attend, which I was actually going to use Restaurant Systems Pro, but because of some bookkeeping stuff,
I was actually going to ask you, why didn't you use Restaurant Systems Pro after being a part of that?
I was having really bad bookkeeping problems, and with this place, I have some businessmen that are my investors, and they need real books. And for 20 years in the bar business and the beginning of this restaurant business, I wasn't getting real numbers. And on the Texas Restaurant Association website, I saw a workshop they were doing in Houston with a bookkeeping company that specialized in restaurants.
Okay.
I go down there, I meet Sorboni Services. They're a one-stop shop for everything bookkeeping and accounting and payroll.
And they use Restaurant 365.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. That, I understand that. That model, if you're somebody who's great with restaurant financials and you're a whiz with restaurant like 365 or Restaurant Systems Pro, that business model of just being that for a bunch of clients where you're just basically the controller and you're just managing books and you're managing the software and you're just like doing like a weekly call and then like you're getting the data, and like that is a business model right there.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing more and more people who literally just operate Restaurant 365, and I'm hoping more people do that for Restaurant Systems Pro, because you could have like 15, 20 clients.
Yep.
And like, I mean, you mind me asking, like, what do they charge?
That's funny. I asked them that when I met them, and they wouldn't give me a price because everything is a la carte and negotiable.
No two customers are exactly the same.
Right. But they're
what
very...
What would you budget? Let me ask you that. If you were saying, if somebody was interested in this, what would you budget?
1%.
1%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's... They even have a CFO service that I get a quarterly phone call, and they analyze the hell out of my books, and we talk about it. Basically, a CFO on call. And I just saved, and I know Restaurant Systems Pro has similar stories. By moving a decimal 2 places where it's supposed to go, I just saved $7,000 a quarter by what they caught. My error of what I entered into Toast was a few percentage points off.
So that's $28,000
a year.
Is that at 1%?
No, I'm just telling you what they saved me.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if it's worth, like, how do you validate 1% of your profit, right?
Well, I don't spend. You asked me what I would budget.
Oh, right.
Now, we're exceeding that. We're good to go. But
good point.
I can log in from my home just like Restaurant Systems Pro. I can log in and see my real-time sales costs for the previous week, the whole deal. And I have like people emailing me asking me what these check amounts are for. What is this for? Their bookkeeping is live, done by. So it's a team over there.
Yeah.
So and it's funny because I had to like put all their expenses in one spot because it was kind of hitting me from in different spots in my P&L. But I would budget 1% of sales towards bookkeeping, but thankfully I've exceeded that, so that technically lowers that number for me.
Got it. So I mean, the point that I was trying to make is like a lot of people I think the enterprise solution is the future. You need something to keep all the data in line, connected, moving, streamlined, the systems that are tight. You could go try to build all of your systems on your own, or you could take somebody who's literally put their whole life into building restaurant systems, and you could take that model and plug it into your business. Yep. Better yet, like wrap your business around this model. Like why build it from scratch when you can take a proven model and just run those systems? You will go way further. And the money that you're going to save will be money that will pay for it and then some.
Yeah.
And people think that they're losing money when they invest in these things. You're making more. I think it's really important.
Well, they just saved me, just that CFO, which is a little a la carte expense, saved me $7,000 a quarter.
Wow.
So now I owe it to them to never drop their CFO service because it's paid for itself.
Yeah. This is one of my biggest lessons, that the two things that you outsource first. Legal. Always have a lawyer.
Right.
Like, don't try to do your own legal stuff. CPA, accounting.
Yeah.
Those two things will save you more money than you could ever pay to get access to those things.
Yep.
So we haven't even gotten into your story yet, but I am curious. So today you're doing, I think you said 6.3?
6.5.
6.5. You're 50% profit. Sorry, 57%. That would be great. 57% prime cost. What percentage of your total revenue is from dine-in versus takeout versus like third party?
Takeout's about 8%. Takeout and delivery, the whole third-party system. We use Toast, so it runs through there now.
Okay. So like 92% is all dine-in.
Yeah.
Wow. That's probably because of the liquor sales helps there.
We're 30% alcohol, 70% food.
Got it. And that was the next question. So I think we got a good idea of your operation now. So take us back to where it makes sense. Where does it take us to the beginning? Like, when did you know that the restaurant industry was going to be your career?
So my mom, whose name was Betty, who this place is named after, worked for Ninfa's Mexican restaurant in Houston when I was a kid. I would spend my weekends, she didn't make a lot of money. She started as a hostess, server. I would spend my weekends going to work with her and just hanging out at the restaurant, running around, bothering the bartender for a virgin daiquiri.
And you're from St. Louis.
I'm from St. Louis, but we moved to Texas when I was first grade, or 1982.
Got it.
1983. It's right, Ninfa's is from the 70s, started in the 70s. In the early 80s, it was taken off. So we moved to Houston to work so she could work for Ninfa's.
Okay.
And
you moved here to work for?
We moved to Dallas, of another family of ours, which are restaurateurs too. Another family friend, like basically cousins. They moved to Dallas first, and we followed them.
Okay.
And then we all went to Houston, and they all worked for Ninfa's.
Was your dad in the picture?
My stepdad was, and he worked for Ninfa's too. So for a while, both my parents were working for Ninfa's. My dad, who was really my stepdad, and there's more to that story later, was kind of in and out. So I basically grew up with a single mom as far as responsibilities.
Got it. So how did she find this opportunity at Ninfa's?
I don't know. I think it was just, maybe it was our friends that had moved to Texas first.
Okay.
And said, come on.
So she started as a host.
Yeah.
In 1983.
Yeah.
And at the end of her career, what was her title?
There was a Dallas arm of the Ninfa's Corporation. It was Rio Star 2. And so all the Ninfa's in Dallas, she was director of operations for a while.
And how many Ninfa's were there? Am I saying it right?
Ninfa's, yeah. I would guess that at their peak, I mean, they were in Germany, Atlanta.
Wow.
Like they were all.
They kind of coined the whole like fajita.
Yeah.
Or, like they kind of brought it to like the masses.
Mama Ninfa's credited with, officially or unofficially, being the first to put a fajita inside of a tortilla and serving a fajita taco.
So a fajita is just the pan searing like chicken, steak,
yes,
onions, peppers, like that's fajita.
Yes, sir.
But putting it with the flour tortilla was
that's online at least. She's
isn't that
credited
how
with
like
that.
a lot of like Mexican people eat a lot of their food? Like they always serve with
Now.
fajita.
I mean, I'm under the impression now.
I am not in any way an expert on Mexican culture, so I don't know.
Either am I.
Yeah. So I can't make that statement. I just kind of assume that they just always have like a flour or corn tortillas around, and it's just like it's almost in like just I don't know a ton about like actual like I know like Oaxacan is like very kind of different. You know, I'm not even gonna try to pretend like I know a lot about Mexican cuisine, but that just blows my mind that wasn't a pairing before this point.
Maybe it's just an online legend, but yeah, that's the story. So
maybe
we're
they brought
to
it to like the Americas.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was it like being the son of this woman who is the director of operations for this like Texas like staple of a brand?
Yeah. Well, at the time we didn't even know how much. Well, at least I didn't realize how much of a staple it was. It was part of our life, and
right.
You know, she worked hard and she was feisty. I would go to work with her and see her manage and lead people. I didn't know that that's my biggest education in my life was learning how to work. Basically, crazy work ethic, very passionate at work, and loved her staff. There's a picture right back there of a pre-shift meeting that I came across right before we opened that I had to have blown up and framed. It just became who we were. It just became ingrained in who we were. So I learned early just to work. I just liked to work. I liked being tired. I liked close. As I got older, I didn't mind closing the night before and being the first one there for brunch in the morning, you know, when I was a server.
Yeah. So you worked there too?
Yeah. As I got older.
What up, unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's the profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master on restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
What were your mom obviously taught you work ethic, clearly, right? What else did she teach you?
Details, something as small as if you have a fan in your restaurant, it needs to be on because it creates movement and energy. Music volume, which has played a huge role in my career in the bar business and here.
Yeah.
If you pay attention here, this is we keep it kind of loud, and I tell my managers if we don't get any sound complaints, then we're doing something wrong. We need a couple people to tell us it's too loud. Then we're probably in the right spot.
Anything else?
No.
What were her strengths?
She was a tough lover. She was passionate. It goes back to being passionate.
Yeah.
Her team would die for her. She could yell at them on Wednesday and be really upset about something, and they were at our house the next day, Thanksgiving Thursday. They're at our house celebrating.
Why do you think she was able to gain that amount of, like, how does she gain that respect?
By leading by example and always having their back.
Give me an example of a time she led by example.
Well, I know all the time, it didn't matter if she was scheduled or not, she would be at the restaurant. She was always a phone call away as far as being there for her staff. If an unruly customer, and this has bled into me big time, I remember someone complaining to her about her staff member, and I believe in this too, but she didn't. The customer is always right isn't the way she rolled, and either the way I roll.
They're always right until they're wrong.
Yeah. I'm all about service.
Yeah.
She was all about service. She gave the best service. People, the guests loved her. But if you cross a line with, especially with like a teenage hostess or a young server who's doing their best, and if a guest is taking advantage of that power setup to berate somebody that they don't have maybe at their jobs they don't get to be someone's boss.
Right.
I won't allow my staff to be taken advantage of.
You're getting into it right now, and my follow-up question was like, where is that line? Because you said when they cross that line, so that line is disrespecting or being inappropriate with staff,
not cursing, or a grown man, if they wouldn't talk to me the way that they talk to my 17-year-old hostess, I'm done. We're not
just
doing
talking
this.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or cursing at them. You know? But
So this has been a like I agree with that statement. You know, like the guest is right until they're wrong. They're not always right. You know, and that line is when that guest either disrespects your staff or another guest.
Yep.
No one guest is more important than the integrity of your staff or another guest. And if you cross that line where you think that your happiness outweighs the happiness of other people, get the fuck out and never come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we don't need your business.
You know, for all the years in the bar business, over 20 years, I've had to kick people out. And it's just more of a thing in a bar. So I'm used to, like, you know what? You don't just assume because we're in a restaurant, you know, now that you just get to behave any way because we have to take it because this is a restaurant.
Right.
No, I have the same mentality as the bar business. If you're not, we don't need you here. Like, life's too short. And I say that a lot. With dealing with negative reviews, if the customer is in the wrong, I will say life's too short. I heard their story also, sir. You need to come back and apologize to these teenagers, or you're not welcome back.
Right.
And life's too short. I don't need it.
Right.
But we just don't need it.
I think that has spilled over that audacity, that entitlement of the consumer, the guest, has spilled over into, like, I don't know where that came. I think I have some ideas. I think that corporate America kind of just spoiling the guest and really living that the customer is always right. And like, I think that over time, the consumer just kind of got used to being able to get away with murder inside restaurants in terms of like treating people like shit or feeling entitled. And that has spilled over into the internet, you know?
Yes.
And I think that it's like this industry is so focused about hospitality and warmth and generosity and giving. I think the consumer forgot what it means to be a guest.
Well, I've said hospitality is a two-way street. I've said that, like, I get it, but you can't talk like that. And, you know, I hear the other side of the story, and I can read between the lines what actually happened.
Right.
But hospitality is a two-way street.
Right. And then the argument to what we're talking about, right, the opposition to this is, well, they're paying customer. It's not hospitality. It's a business. It's a transaction. And there's some truth to that too.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if you're not happy, if you're not enjoying the meal, you don't need to get a refund in the moment. Just don't ever go back.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And I don't mean to sound like this hardcore. I don't even know what service is. I'm here to run a restaurant and have a lot of sales. Like, I'm all about, service. I will run, if we don't sell Dr. Pepper, we used to say this in our bar meetings, we will run across the street to the 7-Eleven and buy you a Dr. Pepper. We want to make you happy. Life's too short just to take it, though.
Yeah.
So
I asked for a ginger ale not that long ago. I was actually where was I? I was at Robert St. John's restaurant, Crescent City Grill in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Have you ever been there?
No, I've met Robert. Robert's eaten here.
Yeah, he's a badass.
He's amazing.
That guy is awesome. If you're ever driving through southern Mississippi or I don't know, not quite southern, but like towards the lower half of Mississippi, you're going through Hattiesburg, Mississippi, stop at Crescent City Grill.
Yeah.
Those people know hospitality. The food is so freaking good, too. I asked for a ginger ale with my dinner, and they said, absolutely. It wasn't even like, we don't have that, but we'll go get it. Just absolutely.
Yep.
And then I asked for a second ginger ale, and I guess the memo didn't get to the other person, who I can't remember exactly what she said, but she alluded to the fact that they didn't have ginger ale, but they would take care of it. And I was like, I would have never known.
Yeah.
And I think the point I'm trying to make is, like, it's true hospitality when they don't let you know that it's going to be an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Where they just say yes.
Yes.
You know, because you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that's what I want. I do want that level of service. We got sidetracked with the negative aspect of this stuff. But in general, and that's part of the daily challenge. I'm expanding to 2 restaurants, and I'm trying to get as much set in stone here and as much culture going on and keep it going. When you have 17 servers at a time, 20 servers, it's really hard to corral and get everyone trained to think like that, because there's all different types of people, especially in this business. There's all different types. So I wish everyone behaved like the first person that did that, and it's kind of like the infinity goal, like you said, like that's where I want to get one day. I need to go in that direction.
Right.
But it's there's a lot of things that are tough in this business. The busier you are, the bigger you are, the more staff you have, it's a challenge to corral. And that's literally what we try to work on every day. That's getting better every day. Like, how do we get this mentality in our pre-shifts? When I'm here for the pre-shifts, or when I talk to people, I almost like have a shaking, like I'm shaking the emotion, like we're so lucky to be this busy. Like, why would you make this guest feel awkward at all for modifying a quesadilla? Why? Like, you just came from a place that might be closing soon because they have no customers. Well, this 10 Top comes every single Thursday for lunch, and you just made this lady feel uncomfortable for, like, what are we doing? Like, I maybe because I'm older and I've been through a lot, I'm so grateful that we have this business. We're lucky. And a staff member, like, you should have that same feeling, because you just came from a place that was not this busy. Yeah.
So they say every habit needs a trigger. In order to create a habit of excellence, you need something to, like, trigger that, like, if this, then that. Like, in order for something to be a habit, you need something to, like, make that into, like, a trigger to make that a habit. So I think that I've heard this advice that if a good way to gauge your level of hospitality is that if you feel like what is happening is an inconvenience, if you get that, like, fudge, like, I don't want to do this, that feeling is the trigger that you're about to deliver generosity. You're about to do the unexpected. You're about to do something at your inconvenience for the convenience of somebody else. If you ever feel like you're being inconvenienced, that should trigger in your mind, this is an opportunity for me to go the extra distance.
So that changes your attitude, as opposed to just having the attitude like there's no such thing as an inconvenience.
That's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to change your attitude, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So before we kind of move on to the next part of your life, I mean, you grew up in this restaurant, Ninfa's. Your mom, you got to see her lead. You shared examples of how she was as a leader, her strengths. Any other, like, big influence? Like, if your mom had one major influence on the man you are today, the leader you are today, the restaurateur you are today, what is that influence?
I think it comes mostly to being a parent. So it's how did she parent me and my two brothers, and that is, in a sense, leading a staff, right? Leading a team. Tough love, high expectations. Like, you're going to college. We don't have any money. Well, you still got to go. And it was literally on me and my brother. I have a twin brother and a younger brother. It was on, at that time, me and my own brother to go to college and figure it out. Like, we had to go apply on paper, and not online, but on paper, for federal aid, or we're going. So she had high expectations. She never made us feel like, hey, we don't, we come from a rougher neighborhood in Houston. She never made us feel like that we would be anything less than successful, or she never, only all A's. If we got an 89, we were in trouble. So all A's, it was just an expectation which we just had to live up to, but it became ingrained in us. So maybe that translates into leadership in a restaurant, but we have high expectations.
Yeah. So what happened after Ninfa's? What did you go to school for?
I came to, I was waiting tables as a high schooler at Ninfa's there. There was 2 Ninfa's in Austin at the time. So when I came to UT, I was working at Ninfa's. And I was undecided, so I didn't know what I was going to do. So I worked a lot. I actually made pretty bad grades. And I wasn't even partying. I was literally just working too much. And I didn't have good study habits, probably. And I was working a lot. So I became a cheerleader at the University of Texas. That's a whole long story. But it was awesome, but cheerleading had practice at night, so I could no longer wait tables. So I went down to 6th Street, and I knew a manager at a bar, and I said, Josh, can I work here, and can I come to work after 8 o'clock? He's like, yeah, here, you can make $15 an hour. Here's your T-shirt, and you're a door guy. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm a host. I'm a host at a restaurant, but now it's at a bar. Well, the accepted attitude at bars on 6th Street back then, and probably bars still now, is the smug door guy that might beat you up if you look at him wrong, and he's this gatekeeper to this cool place.
Right.
Well, my mentality was like, no, I'm a host. I want this bar, this live music venue, to be busier and better because I'm at this door. I want people to feel welcome because that's how I
First point of contact.
Yeah, which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so.
Did anybody ever tell you were doing it wrong? Like, what are you? Why are you so happy?
No. Well, yeah, because 6th Street in Austin, Texas.
Not to say you. I don't think you were doing it wrong. But
Right.
Context.
Well, there's these buildings. These historic buildings are 22 feet wide, and so it's like bar. So you're outside for 4 hours, standing outside. You're 22 feet away from a guy next door, so you're talking and stuff. You see them get into fights. You see them pushing people, taking pride out of sucker punching people. When you're over here, just like I don't want to fight. I'm just gonna be nice. I'm in the hospitality business, so that just kind of parlayed. So next thing you know, and this is Austin this is 1999, 2000.
And you're what? You're
I'm
early
in college.
20s, 22, 21 years old?
Yeah, I was 22.
Yep.
I'm working the door, and I want to be a barbback, but there's 2 barbacks ahead of me, and the bartenders make all the money, and the barbacks make some money. But I liked the door, and I was still in college, and my plan was to be, a teacher back in Houston. So I'm just kind of like finishing college. I'm a history major. There's nothing I really gravitated towards. My GPA's awful. 2.01 is what I ultimately graduated with.
I had a 1.18 my freshman year.
Show off, man. You just won up me.
I graduated with 3.2 though. I turned it around. Yeah.
I had a 1.2 something. I don't think they had Adderall in the 90s. Anyways, next door, the manager that worked where I had worked at Lucy's Retired Surfers Bar, the manager now worked at Soho Lounge, and he said, "Do you want to come bar back?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want a bar back. He's like, "You'll make $100 a night. It's great. There's a lot of pretty girls. It's more of a club than this live music venue." So I'm bar backing there, and the manager turns around and hires these 2 really awesome, good-looking, charismatic twins named Brad and Chad. Well, these 2 guys...
Brad and Chad?
Brad and Chad.
Those parents.
Yep. These 2 guys were the nicest people I'd ever met in my life, and they gave the best service. And I'm a twin too, even though my brother wasn't in Austin.
Jason and
Justin.
Okay.
So
I'd probably have fun with the 2 if I was a parent.
So these awesome, charismatic, genuine, nice guys, and I just hit it off. I'm like, they loved going the extra mile for the customer. They would. Chad started the Dr. Pepper story. He's the one that says we go to 7-Eleven for the Dr. Pepper if we don't carry it. So we hit it off. We become friends, and Chad is the driving force. Like, hey, we need to open a bar together. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go be a teacher.
How many years into being a bartender or working in the bar business is this for you?
Bar business, probably 2 years, 2.5 years.
Okay.
So while
you wanted to be a teacher, you said.
Yeah.
There's a parallel there. I think that at the end of the day, in the restaurant industry, you are a teacher.
Yeah.
And the people who teachers, nurses, people who are those like service, caregiving, nurturing type do so well in this industry.
That makes sense. We went to IHOP one night after work, 4 a.m, and our waitress comes over, and I don't remember how it came up, but she said, "Yeah, this is my second job." I was like, "Oh, what's your first job?" She was like, "I'm a teacher." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm making at this time, I'm making more money than I will as a teacher. I can work as much as I want," which I liked. I can work as little as I want and still make more money than the teacher, and I don't have to work a second job.
And that time it was a bar back.
I was a bartender by this time.
Okay.
And then right before I graduated, I became a manager.
Okay.
So, and that bartended. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm basically rich. And I'm like, I don't want to give this up. I can always go teach. Chad and Brad are over here saying we should open a bar together. Okay. Like, I'll just wait this out. So next thing you know, that place that I was a door guy at, they had failed to pay the comptroller taxes and they were shut down. So my naive self, I went to the landlord and I was like, "I know you don't know me. Me and my 2 best friends really want to open a bar. And I worked here at your building for 2 years.
Yeah.
I really want to open a bar." And he was like, "Okay, this is the lease." And I'm like, "Oh, this can't happen in Austin today."
Right. This is the good old days.
This is 2001. This is right after 9/11 for reference sake.
Yeah. I think it was the late 2010, like the 2009, 2011, when like it really started to like grow. And at that point, it just hasn't stopped.
Yep. And so we got some credit cards together. I had just repaired my credit, so I got like Circuit City, Best Buy, Lowe's, Home Depot, anything that gave me credit. And we bought these tube TVs, and we turned a bar into a bar. Their grandfather loaned us like $10,000, and the guys split it with me. And I mean, the whole 8 ramen noodles. And we were bartenders that were managers, and now we were bartenders that were about to be bar owners.
How long were you managing before you became an owner?
I mean, probably less than a year.
Okay.
Less than a year. And even when I was an owner, I was still a manager that was having to learn how to be an owner. The three of us were.
Yeah, talk to me about the dynamic of the three of you.
Yeah.
Like, how did the twins complement each other, or were they very much the same in all
Well, they're very much the same. When we would bartend together, and they very much clashed, just because they're brothers and they're the same person,
right.
you know. We would work. One would work well. One would work well two, and I would work between them. And it kind of became a metaphor for our partnership. I was probably good at balancing both of them.
Yeah.
And if I got out of their way, they would attack each other sometimes. But they're just the best guys. They're still my best friends right now. And we went on to do a lot together.
Yeah.
And that's more as the story progresses. But
so the three of you, like in the world of like, if I'm talking in like Michael Gerber language, right? The E-Myth. He talks about you're either going to be an entrepreneur, a manager, or a technician. So hearing this, you're technicians, bartenders.
Yes.
It's a very skilled position, but you're also probably a level of manager too. So like, what in terms of like ownership, what were you bringing to the table? Like, what made you think this is going to be a good partnership, other than you guys got along and you love each other?
I don't think we knew. Like, we didn't migrate to roles. One person wasn't on the computer while one person was there at night while the other person was meeting vendors. We all did everything, and we just, you know, I ultimately gravitated towards learning P&Ls and stuff.
Okay.
Maybe that's how
Numbers.
we differentiated a little bit.
There were more. If you were doing P&Ls and numbers, how would they counter you? Because you seem like hospitality driven too.
We just all did everything. We met with the managers as we got older and we weren't bartending anymore and we had multiple locations. We just took it upon ourselves to meet with the managers, and as we expanded, you know, to Houston, to Nashville, like we would divide and conquer. Okay, I had Houston. Brad would take Nashville, and Chad was overseeing Austin, and we'd help each other, you know, and you know, maybe I deal with the AV guy more than anybody, or maybe Brad would deal with the lawyer more, or Chad would deal with something more. So we kind of learned our path.
Divide the relationships.
Yeah. But maybe we weren't organized enough at that. But we just loved going to work, and we were and still are a pretty unique story back then. There was a lot of people who opened a bar with one group, and then they'd go do a bar with another group. And that just wasn't in our DNA. Like, we were Carmack Concepts. We did everything together.
Was that the name of your group?
Yeah.
What did that stand for? Carmack.
Carrier and Womack.
Got it.
They're Brad and Chad Womack.
Got it.
Yeah, and it was special. And we grew up in they grew up in Atlanta area. We all grew up without much and with a single mom. So our success together was literally our success together. We all knew what it was like not to have anything, and so when we got our first disbursement check, we went straight to Eddie V's and we ordered whatever the hell we wanted, and we burnt right through it.
Is that on South Lamar?
It's on 6th Street. Fifth Street.
5th Street.
That's the original. So there's plenty of Eddie V's now. So the original Eddie V's opened up really close to our first bar together was Chuggin' Monkey.
Okay.
So their staff.
Chunky Monkey?
Chuggin'
Monkey.
Chuggin' Monkey.
Chuggin' Monkey.
There's Eddie V's staff. This is when there was one Eddie V's, would come over to our place and service industry, hanging out. So Brad, Chad, and I were going to Eddie V's as much as they'd allow us, and we were just eating. These three kids eating fancy steaks. They're a couple years older than me, but yeah, it was every turn of our partnership and our success was like surreal. Like we're living a different life.
What was that the rent? I know these numbers aren't going to make any sense today, but what was the rent at CarMax when you first started?
Well, that Chuggin' Monkey, that rent was probably $6,000 in 2002.
$6,000?
Yeah.
What would that be today?
It's probably
$18,000
today.
Three times.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's why it's tough for bar people to buy buildings, especially young
Yeah.
But bars do well in entertainment districts. Entertainment districts demand a lot of rent.
Right.
So why would the landlord sell this building that's already
Such an asset.
someone else will take it?
Yeah.
So you can't just, well, hey, I'll take this building. No, you won't. You can rent it, or you don't have to be here.
Right. So, so how many total brands did you have?
I think we had 11 total bars over time.
Wow.
I'm going to run through them real fast. That'll help me count. Chuggin' Monkey, Dizzy Rooster, Velvet Spade, Thirsty Nickel, The Mark, Molotov Lounge, Dogwood West 6, Dogwood Houston, Dogwood Domain, Electric Feel Good Houston, Dogwood Fort Worth, and maybe I'm missing something. I think that's it.
All right, you were going fast, man.
Sorry,
so
dude.
Chuggin' Monkey, Dizzy
Rooster,
Velvet
Spade.
What was after that?
Thirsty Nickel.
Okay.
There's Molotov Lounge, Dogwood West 6th. Oh, Bourbon Girl,
Damn.
Dogwood Houston, Dogwood Domain.
So 5 Dogwoods,
I think so. Fort Worth. Did I get Fort Worth in there?
maybe.
I'd like to forget that one for the record.
Fort Worth. Okay, so
You
we're
can
going
just
to
talk
actually
about
make sure we talk about that one.
That was the major learning lesson.
All right. So there's a lot, man. So 11 total units. Was it like 6 total concepts?
I think so.
And when did you open your first Chuggin' Monkey?
2002, February 2002.
So you had an 18-year run.
We sold Monkey in 17, so that's 15.
Well, CarMax.
I still have. Well, so
So it's 2020 when you're like, I'm going to lose all my bars.
yes. Okay, yeah, so 2020, we had 5 bars that were shut down. They slowly came back, obviously. But at the time when they shut down, we didn't know if they would ever come back. So, COVID's March of 2020. In September and October of 2019, we had bitten off our biggest debts. At the same time, Electric Feel Good in Houston and Dogwood Nashville in Nashville. So we had just opened with Monster Rents, Monster bank loans, no investors, bank loans. And our honeymoon period was just stopped.
Ouch.
It was awful. Scary. I mean, obviously, we all went through a lot.
So at the peak of your operation, when you're like doing, like when your P&L is the most balanced it's ever been, or like your profit is most outweighing your loss, like when was that period for you? Like leading like 2017, 18?
When Dogwood Houston opened,
Yeah.
it opened with a bang. We were the busiest. We had the most alcohol sales in Texas.
Wow.
For 2 months. In Texas, alcohol sales are public information.
Yeah.
So like outside of like Minute Maid Park and a couple hotels and some strip clubs, Dogwood Houston had the highest mixed beverage receipts at like $800,000 a month about. That's when. But it's funny you bring up P&L. We weren't looking at P&Ls because we were everywhere. We were there. We could see if people were stealing. We think we could see if we were losing. We didn't. There was so
Your
much
presence.
money.
Yeah.
We had the presence. So.
Yeah.
And
But you had 11 locations. There's only 3 of you. How'd you have?
They weren't open. We had 5 at the most.
Okay.
And we divided and conquered. And we were
So you had opened 11 locations, but at your peak you only were running 5.
5 or 6. Maybe it got to 6 at one point, but 5 for a while, I think.
And you had 5 Dogwoods. So how many?
Over time.
Over time.
Yeah.
Okay. So going all the way back to Chuggin' Monkey.
Yeah.
What were the biggest lessons early on? When did you open your second bar?
A year later.
Okay.
Our biggest lesson is kind of what we realized ourselves is we carried ourselves in a reputable way in a business that it's acceptable to be a sleazebag, or it's not acceptable, but it's normal.
You can get away with it.
People do get away with it.
Yeah.
So there's these 3 guys that believe in hospitality, are nice, and
Yeah.
these college bartenders, they bring their parents to say, hey, I know you have a problem with me working at a bar on 6th Street, but come meet the owners. Then you'll get it. And then we are truly honored to meet our staff members' parents. And they're like, oh, I get it. Not every bar is like that. Well, landlords caught on to our success at Chuggin' Monkey. So they're like, I want to deal with guys who pay rent on time and smile and tuck in their shirt and look me in the eye when they shake my hand. So we just started getting offers to take over spaces. So that's what.
Yeah, I love that you say that. What goes through my mind and what I like to say is that when you don't get opportunity by putting your energy out into the world, meaning promoting yourself, looking for your opportunity. You get the opportunity when you put everything into what you're currently doing better today than you did yesterday.
Yeah.
And when you look at the details and you just try to be a better version of yourself today, the opportunity knocks down your door. Don't go out looking for opportunity, attract it.
Yeah. So that happened. And then, I mean, every project we did in the beginning, when I think back to how we actually got in, we would go to an operator, a friend of ours, because the Austin bar scene is a tight-knit community, and say, hey, do y'all want to sell? Would y'all ever sell? Because we see what's going on, and we think maybe we would love to be in this part of town, West 6th Street. And that partnership, this became we bought Molotov. So that partnership was like, yeah, we will sell. So then we go to the only person. Well, we don't have the money to buy this place, right? It's $425,000. We just don't. We're making money and we're buying new cars.
Yeah. You're young.
We're young. We're not saving too much money.
You're not thinking about you get the rest of your life to worry about making money, right?
So one of the most successful person we knew was the landlord at the Mark, and we said, hey, do you want to invest in us? We don't know what we're doing, but if you can give us, if we can buy this place and we can be your partner. He's like, or will you loan us money maybe? And he's like, well, if I loan it to you, this is my first lesson about interest rates. If I loan it to you at X percent, it wouldn't make sense for me because I have money borrowed at that percent. So what's the point? It's like, let me introduce you to my banker. Oh, okay. First time we've dealt with it. We only, we go to Bank of America to make deposits. So we sit down in this smaller bank here in Austin, and this really successful, wealthy guy is sitting in front of this banker. Says, hey, these guys, blah, 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 they need $425,000.
What year was this?
2007, maybe beginning 2008.
Okay.
2008. He's like, well, guys, I don't, well, what are the assets? I don't even know that you borrow money based on FF&E. I don't know any of this. Well, we don't have much. And the very super successful landlord of ours who has nothing to gain by this says, what if I got involved? What if I basically he was saying, what if I co-signed?
What if my assets on the line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the banker was like, well, that changes everything.
Yeah.
So this landlord who gained zero from helping us with this opportunity only risked, but he was that confident we were going to hold up our end. We got our first bank loan.
Okay.
Which is unheard of for bars.
What was it about this relationship where he was willing to do this for you? Did he ever talk to you about admiration or why you?
No. To be honest, he's like a strip club owner on the side and stuff. So you would think he's a self-made man, but you wouldn't associate just believing in 3 kids with their shirts tucked in that they'll pay somebody else's. They'll pay the debt. We were paying in his debt, and we ended up selling that. So I don't even remember if we were associated with being his tenant anymore.
So he was this guy owned the building that Chug and Monkey was in, or no?
The Mark.
The Mark was in. Okay.
Yeah, that's on 5th and Congress. It was kind of a nightclub. It was our first closest thing to a nightclub at the time.
The Mark Lounge.
The Mark, yeah. So we go. Next thing you know, we have a loan and we buy Molotov, and like we did at Chug and Monkey, we just paint it, add some TVs, modernize it, add some lighting, and we bring the oomph. We bring excitement. We had a name for ourselves in downtown Austin, so people knew the new cool place. And
in your career, in terms of, I like to use the car shifting through gears analogy.
Yeah.
What gear are you in terms of your evolution as a hotelier, or not like a restaurateur, but bar owner tour, or whatever you
let's call it third gear.
Third gear.
And this is 2008.
So what was the shift from second to third? What was second and what was going into third?
Did I just say that was third? Are we saying right before this?
Well, like you're saying we're in third gear at this point.
Okay.
But like what got you to third? Well, like
having 3 bars on 6th Street at one time.
Okay.
3 concepts. And
so what is first gear then? If we're doing gears, what was first gear? Opening your first place?
Yeah, opening the first place.
What was second gear?
Being known as having 2 bars.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden we think, and we probably got ahead of ourselves. We thought the 3rd bar would be a hit if we called it Uncle Flirties because we thought we were being really cute with names, and we probably thought everything we did was just going to work because we did it.
Yeah.
And it didn't fail, but it was just kind of a lot of overhead, kind of not a good idea of a name.
Yeah.
And it was our first little kick in the shins. Like, yeah, maybe you.
What were your biggest lessons there?
The don't spend so much money.
Yeah.
Maybe bigger isn't always better. That was a huge space.
Okay.
Bigger isn't always better.
And this was your third?
Our third bar.
Yeah, well, I've heard people say, whether you have 50 seats or whether you have 150 seats, you're doing the same amount of work.
Yeah.
So always just go with volume. But why isn't that always better?
Less is more, We spread out Chugga Monkey and Dizzy Rooster into the third play. I mean, you walked in, it was the same playlist, same, you invariably do the same thing unless you...
Maybe a little different makeup.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6th Street, and we cannibalize ourselves probably, you know? So that's the lesson. And then maybe, the next gear became, we have a bank involved. We're on West 6th Street, and West 6 was more of a adult area versus historic 6th Street, which is now referred to as dirty, unfortunately. So then at Molotov, when we got the bank loan and we opened up Molotov, and we had taken previous sales and skyrocketed them, and life was great. The landlord has said, hey, my mom also owns the building next door, and it's an Irish pub, and they don't pay rent on time, and their lease is up next March. Would y'all be interested in doing something? We're like, yeah. He's like, how much you think it should be per square foot? And we said, I don't know, $28 a square foot. He's like, okay, you can have it.
Were you on the mark with $28, or where
I guess we should have picked lower maybe, but we whatever number we said, the three of us said in that meeting, we ended up paying. And he's like, my mom just wants her check in the mail. She doesn't want to have to fight for it. And that place, it was called Mother Egan's, an Irish pub. It did well enough. It was just a pain for them, and they wanted mailbox money.
Yeah. So
we said, wait, so we can take over this space without buying the space, so we can, every penny we come up with, we can actually use to remodel and and make it more our place. So we went and borrowed $425,000 again, but this time it was from the banker directly.
Okay.
Because we had overpaid him for Molotov. That was my first lesson. The bankers don't want to be prepaid. They don't want to be paid fast. They want the
make
interest.
Their money interest. Yeah.
We thought we were being responsible kids, but we gave your money back. Can we get some more?
Yeah, there's actually terms where you can't pay it back in a certain amount of time. I think when I got my camper, they're like, you can't
prepayment penalty.
Yeah, you have to, I think it's two. If you pay it off with less than 2 years, then you get hit with a penalty or something.
That's crazy.
That.
Well,
it's
I guess it makes sense. So that same banker.
Thank you for giving me the loan, by the way. M&T Bank, I appreciate you.
And thank you, Doug Marwitz, for the loans.
Yeah.
So we then we opened our first Dogwood right next door to Molotov. Cool area. It was our first. Molotov was cool and funky, but this was our remodel, and it was fresh. We're in our early 30s, and we're catering to ourselves. And I've kind of learned that even with this place, I'm best served if I'm creating something that caters to me, my age group, my current status of life.
Yeah.
So, and then
I love that advice too. The only time you hear a lot of advice, you don't create something for you. You create it for the target market.
Right.
The only time that works is when you are the target market.
Yes.
And when you're in your early 20s, mid 20s, and you go to school there, you are the market, what's trending.
Yep.
I think that's the only time it works.
Yep. And later in my career, that one of those places in 2019 was Electric Feel Good, and I just jumped ahead. But it was right, when we were building it, I was picturing it busy, but I pictured everyone sitting at booths, talking to each other and enjoying each other. And then when we opened, it was just a bunch of people taking selfies by themselves. And people would come in a group of 7, and they never took a picture with the 7 of them. They just took turns taking individual pictures in front of clever signage. And it hit me like, oh my God, I don't relate anymore. I don't even know what song to play.
What year was this?
2019, 2020.
Okay, yeah.
And then the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But you just picture it when a place is empty and you're designing it and you're building it and you're picturing the future. You see one thing, and then when we opened, it was just a bunch of narcissistic kids taking pictures of themselves in
everyone
front of
trying to get
signs.
The highest possible Instagram following.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. So I was talking to Forrest before this, and I was like, what is it that I should be drilling, Jason? Where is he strong? What do I need to know? And he's like, he has this ability for design.
Wow.
He knows how to get the most out of his space. He has an eye for design, an eye for just a good brand. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I'd like to. I want it to be.
So when you're creating a space, when you're designing a space, like what is your objective?
So let's take this place, for example. So that 2019 Electric Feel Good place I was telling you about, we had a designer. And this is in Houston. And I lived in Austin, but I'm in Houston. I traveled to Houston 52 times that year, many times for 4 or 5 days
It's
on
like
end.
a 4-hour drive, isn't it?
3 hours exactly,
Okay.
basically, from where I would go. Had 3 little kids. It was a hell of a sacrifice. But I would sit there, and I call it watching paint dry, and I would just sit there, sometimes with a designer, sometimes just watching the construction, and constantly just try to envision what this is going to look like. Like, where am I standing? What does it feel like? As a customer, as a guest of places, and as someone who likes to drink, I like to go to places and sit there and be like, how do I feel sitting right here? Like, is this bar top too high up on my chest? Is this awkward?
Yeah.
Is the TV that's 5 feet in front of me, is it at the right height? Does it hurt my neck to watch the game?
I hate when I sit at a bar and I have to look up and like 60-degree angle with my neck. It's the worst.
Yeah, so I would obsess about it. So all my experience with Chug and Monkey, like even painting the color red, I like the color red. Like I try to think abstract. So I get this space that we're sitting in, Mama Betty's, and I walk in the door and I have to demo it, but like I try to think about what it feels like every step of the way. There's a reason you see the liquor bottles kind of by the front door. I want you to walk in and say, I need to drink tequila. Mm-hmm. There's a disco ball with moving light, and that kind of goes back to my mom's philosophy about the fan. Like there's movement. Yeah. I have mirrors everywhere I can have mirrors because if there's 12 people in here, I want it to feel like there's 36 people in here. And another excessive step, if you look at these lights to your right, those are changing colors every 2 minutes. So at our Dogwood in Nashville, we had
the ones that are mounted to the wall, or ones that are spotlighted on the wall.
The one that's yellow.
Okay, with the flame.
Yeah. These are all moving. So this is nightclub lights.
Yeah.
In a space.
Where did you learn about using lighting in space to, like, where were your lessons? Like, were these just like a little hints that you picked up, or?
I think.
Did you go someplace to get inspiration?
You know, it's funny.
Masters?
My biological father, who was like a restaurateur in St. Louis. I didn't know I was related to him, and I've followed the same path basically. Nightclubs and restaurants in St. Louis. My mom worked for him. She got pregnant, so she moved to Texas and met my dad. My stepdad who raised me. He was freaky about light, so he would come visit when I was a kid.
Your stepdad?
My biological father would come visit.
Got it.
I didn't even know he was my father, and he would say, "I'm opening this club, and it's got more disco balls than you've ever seen in your life. It's going to be the Guinness Book." He was very eccentric. His name was Mike Telena. He owned restaurants called Telena's in St. Louis. He's infamous in St. Louis.
Got it.
I didn't know I was related to him. So I think maybe there's a genetic aspect to that.
Yeah.
But just being in the bars, like Brad, Chad, and I were in the bars all the time.
Yeah.
So it was our job. And then our social life overlapped our job. So if we were off, we were down on 6th Street. And you're in the bars on 6th Street, like I said, they were so tight that you had to be on top of your stuff. You had to know what song was playing, because if you played the wrong song, you can clear out. Like literally 100 people can leave if you mess with the tempo or the rhythm of the room.
Yeah.
And because they can go next door. They're bar hopping anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time to go. Kind of like a DJ will play a song.
Yeah,
and make
they're
you go
waiting
drink.
for their excuse to go to the next
Yeah,
place.
but they don't even realize it. So lighting was also a big deal to me. I liked the glow of neon lights. I like the glow of color lights. Like I'm very aware of, like, I don't like playing hockey on the TVs because it's so white that it, like these lights, it fleshes you out.
Yeah.
So we had a nightclub, the Mark, that I spoke of. The color was amber, and I loved. It just makes you look, quote unquote, sexy.
Yeah.
So here, I realized I want as much sources of light, and I want it to be as amber as possible.
Warm? Would that be called warm?
Yeah, warm. Sure.
Yeah.
2,700 Kelvin is standard, I think, for your bulbs at home.
Yeah.
3,000 is kind of pushing fluorescent. So the lower you go, the warmer you get. So on the reflected ceiling plan, the electric plan, if you look at my ceiling, I have about 120 sources of light, which is weird, and maybe you don't realize it as a guest, but when you're sitting here, I'm of the belief that you subconsciously love it, and you look good in pictures. Your date is attractive. You're attractive. You just
Thanks.
feel better. Yeah, you're a very good looking guy. No, you just feel better. So I go off my and I have time to obsess because thank God it's what I do. So I just enjoy like analyzing stuff like that.
It's the subconscious. Like, how many times have you gone to a restaurant and like you're like trying to read the menu, and I'm looking and it seems like you have a spotlight on every table. So like there's like these spots. So like you have like the warm light on the walls, and like there's the warm light you can see, but then there's a spotlight that isn't really meant to be. It's like more of like a service light than anything else. So you can enjoy your experience and like see what you're doing and see the menu, but like the space around you is warm.
Yeah.
What up, Unstoppable restaurant owners and operators? We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro, we're taking our relationship to the next level. Beginning in July of 2024, Fred Langley, CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your restaurant systems questions, whether it's the profit margins. He will look at your P&L. Bring your P&L. He will take a look at that. He will dissect it. He will help you find your profit, whether that be through budgeting, inventory management, costing recipe cards, labor, checklists, you name it. He is a master on restaurant systems, and he's making himself available to you. Fred Langley and Restaurant Systems Pro started as a consulting firm, and for over 16 years, they've been helping their clients increase their profit by 10% or more. What are you waiting for? Click the link below to join our Facebook group, Restaurant Unstoppable Network.
And it's balanced. So like in general, at Chug and Monkey, like I said, it was a shotgun bar. It was so bright during the day. If you were at one end of, let's call it a hallway, it's that long of a bar. If you look towards the front door, you can't see the person next to you because light is drowning them out. Like right now where we're sitting, you have windows behind you. I have shades down, even though the sun isn't shining in, but it kills that glare. It's glare. It's spot glare. So the more lights you have, the lower you can lower them. This isn't a lighting restaurant. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's a subconscious. I want you to feel good while you're here.
Yeah. Yeah. So you pay attention to these things. When you get 5 locations and you have all these things going on, how do you make sure your staff is paying attention to these things?
Dimming panels are a godsend. Instead of standing in a closet and just adjusting knobs that break off. When we set up, Brad, and Chad would go set up every bar the way we liked it. And I would gravitate towards lights or whatever. Like we would handle it. And then you train the managers, look, this is what it's at during the day. This is the level as it gets darker, and this is the level late night. In Houston, we had our first dimming panel, and literally for 13 years, they just have to press 2 buttons. 3 buttons, on, daytime, nighttime.
Okay.
And it,
So would that be on a checklist, like at this time, or?
It should be, but it's just trusted that they handle it.
Yeah, yeah. That constant gentle pressure. It is recreating yourself and others and making it simple, stupid. Like tap this when you open, tap this when the it starts getting dark.
Yeah.
And then tap this when it's late night.
Yeah.
And there's a different crowd coming in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of went through everything. You talked about using like the disco light, people seeing the kilobalos, the lighting, the warm lighting in the space, mirrors.
Let's talk about sound. Let's talk about sound. So we at our bars were high volume. We have awesome sound systems. So I have one AV guy we've used for 12, 13 years now. He does all the Twin Peaks. He does a lot of like.
I was trying to connect with the COO, I think, of Twin Peaks, or the CEO of Twin Peaks.
Oh, well, I know the operators of all the Houston market and Indianapolis. And they're the awesome. I went to school with them in Houston.
Oh, really?
If they're 3 brothers, they're the greatest guys.
Well, I was talking. I don't know if he's up in Dallas, isn't he?
That's the corporate. Yeah, I know basically the franchisees.
Oh, okay.
But they're the most successful franchisees of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
But I thought you talked to some. I thought I heard you talked to a Twin Peaks guy, or is it Papacito's guy? What's Front Burner?
Oh.
Am I making this
Front
up?
Burner. I don't, dude. I've done almost 1,200 interviews.
And when I listen to your show, I'm always shocked at what you remember, what you recall.
It's weird. My brain is weird like that. Like if you ask me like a straight question, like what's your favorite episode, I'll be like, I don't fucking have a favorite episode.
Yeah.
But like if you're talking and sharing a story, it will spark a memory.
There was a guy that worked for Papacito's for a while, and then he went somewhere.
Oh, Papa's. Yeah. Like that's a huge Houston brand, and then he came. I think it's Backburner.
Backburner. I said Front Burner.
Nick, is it Nick? Nick? I know what you're talking, but they have the dog park now as one of their concepts.
Oh, we have that here.
Yeah. Why can I think?
We have a location that we have I don't know.
I can picture him. Like, I know what he looks like. I think his name's Nick.
I don't know. But anyways, sound. So
keep talking. I'm going to look it up. It's bothering me.
I
need a Jamie. Somebody that can just be like, hey, Jamie, look into it.
So when I was doing the shopping center restaurant, I was like, this has my mom's name on it. I'm going to make it what I want. The bar started coming back. I wasn't going to lose everything. So I was like, I'm going to overdo my AV system, the sound system. I want it to sound amazing because most Tex Mex restaurants in a shopping center, they're not spending any money on speakers. It's just going to be your small speakers. So I even took it a step further. If you look at the ceiling, that's a product called K13. It absorbs sound. So I currently have a better sound system in this restaurant than I've ever had at a 8,000 or 10,000 square foot high volume bar/club. I never have to play it that loud. I keep it down, but it sounds rich and it sounds good. So the ultimate compliment, the best thing ever is when I look on the cameras or if I'm here standing around and seeing people bob their head while they eat.
Are there people in here right now?
It's an off time for the record. No, there's people at the bar.
For the record.
Wait, we're packed. This is crazy.
It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a Mexican restaurant. Do you think we can like crank the beat? It's like on this side for like 10 seconds to see what it sounds like?
Yes. Yep. I'll be right back.
We're going to pause. All right. He ran over. He's cranking up the volume right now. We're going to... Does it sound rich is the question. Good bass. Good treble. That's a good sample. That's good. He's coming back. I hear what you're saying with like the richness, like it sound like the quality. It's like it's not just there's depth.
Yeah, it's loud.
Yeah,
but you can talk across
treble,
the table.
Bass, it's balanced.
Where there's another Tex-Mex restaurant that I eat at that I like, and especially when I was developing this, I was eating Tex-Mex every single meal. I would go there, and I would on a Saturday night I was straining to talk to the person next to me. And it wasn't because of the music, it was because of the flat drywall ceilings and
echo. People
talking. And we've had a bar like this where it just bounces. You're just talking over each other. Next thing you know, everyone's yelling in the entire place. And you can't even hear the music.
Yeah. So on the ceiling you have a foam.
Yeah.
Is that insulation or is it?
It serves no thermal value. It is strictly acoustic absorbing stuff. No, nothing under the table.
So, I mean, these are all the little details that you learn over time.
Yep.
Did you ever hire somebody to get coaching and consulting on this stuff, or is it just like...
No, trial and error. We someone told us about K13.
What's K13?
That is that spray that you're looking at on the ceiling. Someone told us about it around 2000 when we did Dogwood Nashville. And as a test, our Dogwood Domain just had regular foam. Dogwood Nashville sounded so good, we shut down... Dogwood Domain could have sounded better, and we kept tweaking the sound, and we couldn't get it right. We shut down for 48 hours and sprayed the foam, and it made us sound like we had a new sound system.
Interesting.
It's amazing.
Yeah. K13?
Yep.
And is that the company that manufactures or also...
That is the product. There's
K13.
Different people that sell it.
K13 foam. I'm looking into it.
Acoustic spray.
Acoustic spray.
It's magic. It's magic.
So this AV guy, you said you have this AV guy who works at Twin Peaks. What are the biggest things that he taught you that like, why is it important to have an AV guy? And that's audiovisual, right?
Well, it's just for the initial install and then to fix things. It's the ability to have 50 TVs and send one DirecTV box video to all of them if you want, or some of them. It's the ability to control from the brains, not having to go up to each TV and change the channel. Really, it's just it's a monster. So
you contract that out for somebody.
Yeah, it's part of your startup costs. Like we've spent up to like $140,000 just on
$140,000
on music and TVs
per location. Or
that's the biggest one. That's like you have 50 TVs.
Okay.
For instance, Mama Betty's, we have about 12 or 14 TVs, and we probably spent $70,000 total on music and video.
How many TVs?
14.
14, and you said you spent how much?
$70,000.
$70,000. Why is it worth that? Like, what is it? Like, what? Like, how do you like gauge that value?
Oh, it's become. I think for me, it becomes a standard. Like if you charge me $140, I'd have to do it because it can't be the great place I want it to be without the environment like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't pay $140, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like it's. Hopefully, you know, I know you're in town for a while. I really would love for you to come like on a Friday night, and I would like to show you why. I would show you my why, but like it's a feeling in here. There is an energy, man.
I'll be back, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to make that happen. You got to give some love to this AV guy. Who is your AV guy?
David Livingston of Total Access Communications AV.
David Livingston, Total Access
Communications AV. I love that, man.
You can tell that my interviews are my research. You better believe that David Livingston will be getting a phone call. I'd love to dive deep into audio visual. That'd be really cool. In terms of hardware, what are you using? What does he use?
He uses Firestorm. I don't really understand it all. I don't know if you saw that rack. It's full of stuff that I don't understand.
It's like interface probably, where it all kind of comes into one and redistributes.
Yep. And there's touchscreen, so it's if you go to like Yard House, if you go to a lot of the bigger concepts that have crap load of TVs. They're using either that or something like it.
Okay. So let's wrap up your past life.
Okay. So
we kind of got into this deep dive of all the things that you've learned that have come together in your experience to build what is Mama Betty's today. But we're talking about what you guys did well. And it was about creating the vibe, creating the space. 2019, you started to realize that you're getting old.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It sucks.
It does.
And you realize that you didn't really connect with the target market like you used to. You couldn't create spaces for yourself anymore.
Yep. So
we got a lot of good out of that advice. Reflecting back, what gear would you say you're in now? Like we last we left off, you were in third gear. Was there a fourth gear for you during that time?
I think the 2022 was a great year. The Roaring 20s, you know, I guess maybe everyone was spending their
PPP money.
Sure. So 2022, financially for us, we killed it.
Okay. And us, me,
Brad, and Chad.
You had 5 locations.
Yep.
What were the concepts?
Electric Feel Good, Dogwood Houston, Dogwood West 6, Dogwood Domain. That's it. West 6 Domain, Houston, EFG, Nashville. Oh, and 2 in Houston, 2 in Austin, 1 in Nashville. Did I say 5?
Yeah. So you had electric and Dogwood times 4?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So that was like the best.
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah, if looking back, I mean, yeah, maybe 16 or 17 was great, but
we'll call that 4th gear.
Okay.
This is going to be a 6-gear car.
Okay.
I feel like, well, I mean, I think you haven't. I think you haven't gotten to your 6th gear yet.
I don't think so. I insist that I have not gotten to my 6th gear.
All right. So if you're in, would you say you're in 5th gear, or would you like?
Let's do 5th. Yes, do 5th. I mean,
I think there's an obvious glaring in 2022 when you're on all cylinders with your partners. What did that look like? Like, what was the total revenue? Like things like this.
You know,
percent profit.
We still weren't P&L guys, so I couldn't even tell you our P&Ls. We just know when there was extra money in the account and everything was paid, we got to share it, which was awesome. What happened, Little Woodrow's is backed by private equity. There's a
Little Woodrow's
is a big bar concept in Texas. Private equity bought into them, and they were in a very aggressive growth mode. Well, when it became expensive to build out places, they decided to look at second generations. So this guy, Bob, he was the CEO of this group. He started.
So when we say second generations, you're saying places that failed.
Places already
turnkey.
There, yeah. But
you're not like Nifa's, for example, was a legacy brand that a new company came in. These are people that are taking the bones and turning it into something different.
Yep. So then they weren't scared of failing places. Woodrow's isn't scared. They wanted places that were doing well, and they were paying mightily for it. So they called, and me, Brad, and Chad are getting older. A couple of us have kids. You know,
you're like 40 at this point.
Yeah. Well, this is 2022.
So 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
So like you're just eclipsed 40.
I'm starting to work on developing this.
Yeah.
We just came out of COVID.
Yep.
We opened up Dogwood Fort Worth somewhere in there, and it was a huge kick. We didn't last. We lasted months. We returned all of our friends and family investors the first time we ever had investors. We felt bad. We gave them their money back when we didn't have to, and it was kind of like it was a healthy lesson for us to have. at the same time I was starting to build this. At the same time, Little Woodrow's is coming to buy everything we have. They're offering, and they're throwing around multiples that I'd never heard of for bars. So it became talk for the entire portfolio, and that quickly falls off.
You're making me think. I just had Matt Mabel on the show. We talked about he's the founder of Surrender, and he's a restaurant coach consultant. And we were talking about the 4 points of evolution or growth for restaurateurs. There's the 1 to 3 point, and then usually after that there's a point of evolution. He calls the 1 to 3 like the espresso, and like just like go, like you're just going all this, like you're just figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the 4 to 10 where he calls chill and sit back. You're not literally chilling and sitting back, but you're kind of like you're like you caught pace, and you're kind of taking it in, and you're tweaking, being a better version of yourself. Like it's not like you're running around doing everything yourself.
Yep.
And then there's the 10 to 20, and that's the should I stay or should I go? And that's where you're like, okay, like I built this thing, I could sell this if it's like a attractive. And I think you guys kind of got to that stay or should I go spot early, because your game is bars with high volume.
Yep.
So like how much revenue on average are you doing like with a bar?
4 to 7 million a year.
So that is like the equivalent of 10 units that are doing 2 million a year.
Yeah.
So it's like this is the cool thing about like talking and getting all these different perspectives, because that's different in terms like what investors are looking at is total revenue, not total units. I mean, there's equity in the units too, like that's if they own those, right? If they're purchasing it. But you're at this should I stay or should I go phase where it's like, what are they offering, and like what does this mean? Like what have I always been wanting to do, but I never had the time or energy to do? Like now I could do that. Is that what was happening?
Yeah. We had taken out those two huge debt. We had took out huge debts for those 2019 bars that were shut down by COVID. So we missed our honeymoon. We're used to paying off our 10-year notes in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And that was just taken from us. So we had these monster debts.
Yeah.
And kind of a get out of jail free card coming, and we're like, you know what? As it stands, we used to personally guarantee loans and leases. It didn't matter because we were going to pay it. Like maybe naively as you get older, you're less apt to do that type of stuff. So we looked at each other like, guys, like this is a big offer. This is a big deal to us, and this is our opportunity. Chad, you love real estate. This is kind of your chance to go do that. Brad, you're into health and fitness, and that's looking really good. And I'm doing Mama Betty's, and I'm a restaurant guy now. I don't want to say I've given up on the bar business at all, because I haven't. I actually appreciate the bar business more now.
Well, it's a part of the restaurant. It's a part of it.
Yes.
And you've mastered that. Most people get started with food, and then they graduate to the bar.
Yeah.
But I feel like the bar business is where you make all of your money. So if you have that as your background,
that's a good point. So we agreed, let's take this deal and run with it. And it became just 2 of the locations. So we sold 2. Biggest day of our lives. Yeah. Biggest transaction we've probably will ever have. Great.
Yeah.
So we're down to 3, but they're both the ones we sold were in Austin. So we had 2 in Houston and 1 in Nashville. Well, Brad lived in Nashville. He oversaw that. We're old. We're not hanging out at the bar. We just kind of oversee it. I oversee the 2 in Houston. I love going to Houston. I'm from there. And then we got another offer for 2 more of them last year. So exactly a year ago, we sold the 1 in Nashville and the 1 in Houston. I want to stay in the business, so I partnered with the buying group, and I'm now a partner in the 1 in Nashville and the 1 in Houston. Both are going to finally open after being remodeled in a month.
So you sold Nashville
and one of the bars in Houston,
and now you still retain one of those properties.
I'm a partner, a smaller partner than I ever was.
So
smaller than a
what
third.
is a buying company?
Co Wetzel's Riot Room.
So what is the business model of a buying company?
There's a location in Fort Worth. They actually moved into the location that we failed in.
Okay.
It's a high energy. Co Wetzel's a country music star. Okay. It's just go to a club, but you're playing country music and people are dancing in boots, but still the sparklers and the bottles and table service and stuff, but country music, which is actually kind of unique, right? So the buyers in Houston are going to do a different name because Co understandably didn't want to do Nashville. I'm sorry. The buyers in Nashville, the buyers in Houston are doing Co Wetzel. The buyers in the same buyers that I'm a partner with, we haven't landed on a name because Co didn't want to do it. He didn't want to be maybe cheesy. I'm not sure his exact reasoning. He elected not to. So we're still today in the search, and we have somebody lined up that would be an amazing land to put their name. That's a big thing in Nashville.
Well, I just had
a famous person.
Yeah. So I just had the Max Goldberg and Ben Goldberg from Strategic Hospitality, Friends in Low Places.
Oh yeah.
So they owned that property. That was, I think, Yard House, or I can't remember. Not Yard House. That was. It's so hard to keep all the different brands straight in your head, dude. But they had that venue, and then I think they ended up selling that venue to Garth Brooks to basically that was their get out of jail, because they like you overextended themselves prior to 2020. 2020, like they had all these debts that they weren't able to like, nothing that they did wrong. It was just the market, you know. So they had this asset that they could offload to get to like recover from that 2 years where they just kind of like got hurt bad, and then Garth Brooks ended up making them their managing entity. So like they sold the property, and now Garth basically contracts out the operations to their restaurant group.
That's
so
nice.
It's a win-win.
That's nice. And I love Nashville. I still pinch myself every time I would go there, and we own this cool bar in Nashville. We're Austin guys that get on an airplane, and we're hanging out at this packed bar that we own, that these good-looking Vanderbilt students and these locals and these tourists are having the time of their lives at. And it's like these same three guys that bartended together at Chug and Monkey are getting on an airplane to go to their bar that they own. So maybe it's ego. It probably is ego. I didn't want to let go of being able to tell myself that I owned a bar in Nashville. So I asked the buying group, I was like, hey, can I buy in? I'll give you your money right back. I just want to be a part of it. I don't have to do anything. I say this all the time. I own just enough to have an opinion, but not enough to have to do anything, which is a nice little sweet spot for me. So I get to go to Nashville, and I'm helping with bookkeeping and organizing finances and stuff. But I get to still say I own a bar in Nashville, which is neat.
Yeah. So the buying group, they buy properties, and then they play matchmaker with like basically.
Well, they buy the lease. They were hoping, and we were hoping that they were going to do the same exact concept at both.
Okay.
That the Fort Worth concept was going to go to Nashville and Houston. Well, Co had an issue with putting his name in Nashville, so that just kind of confused things, and it's now delayed. One guy fell through. There's one really cool possibility that I can't say what it is, but if this name goes through, that's going to be pretty neat and unique. It could be signed right now.
Does he have tattoos
I don't
on
know.
His face?
No tattoos. Okay. No. You would never guess, but it is it's a kind of a pivot from country music name. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, cool. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, right.
So in 2022, is it safe to say that you are the wealthiest you've ever been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, 2000.
Wasn't that when you
16, 17, Dogwood, Houston was still good. Maybe that was it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
Life's been great.
So you guys kind of see this opportunity to dissolve your assets and to cash out, and you could retire if you wanted to.
Yeah. Not if I wanted to eat out every night, and my wife wants to go to Target every day. And my kids eat.
Yeah. So Mama Betty's always been in your back pocket. You just didn't have the bandwidth to execute it?
No, never imagined. I'm so intimidated by the kitchen. I didn't have the nerve.
Before we get into Mama Betty's real deep into like how you made it happen, what are the biggest mistakes you made prior to this point? The things that the next time out, when I do this again, I'm going to do it right. What did the right look like versus what you were doing, if you were doing anything wrong?
Well, maybe we took a location just because it was offered to us and didn't have the ego, or had too much ego, and we weren't capable of saying, you know what, that would be cool to own that, but that's not a good idea. That's a lot of rent. That's pretty close to what we already have going on. That's Thirsty Nickel. That's Bourbon Girl.
Yeah. Wait, which wasn't the one that we weren't supposed to talk about? The one they said don't bring that.
Dogwood Fort Worth.
Oh yeah.
That's the one we shouldn't have taken.
What was wrong about that deal?
The space physically was too big, and we remodeled it in the wrong way. It's right next to a Bottle Blonde, and so I've seen in Austin when operators come into town and they see this really cool place on that block, and the front door is visible on the other block, they assume that this place can be as busy as that really busy place across the street. But if you live here, you know nobody crosses that street.
Right.
You can't even quantify it. You just know. And we went to Fort Worth. Oh, Bottle Blonde is right there. we're dogwood, we're awesome, we've got this figured out. And meanwhile, a whole generation has moved on. Like these 22-year-olds don't care that we were busy in 2013. They don't know that. They were a kid. They were literally 10 years old.
Yeah.
So we were just like, we'll put dogwood on it, and we could have managed it better. We could have been more hardcore. We could have been there more. We just thought we were just going to slap our name on it. I was here simultaneously. This was getting open, and I was going there a lot and all. But all of a sudden, we were the old guys thinking it was 2013. And we were just going to drop a dogwood on a city, and they were going to come and yeah.
So I'm kind of curious too. It's in the back of my mind. Do you think that there's just also like a shift happening in the consumer in the terms of like health and wellness, and like are people drinking less now?
Apparently they are. They're microdosing mushrooms.
Have you tried it?
No.
It's not horrible.
I need to relax. If that would help, I will.
It does.
I'll give it a try maybe. Yeah, and then there's health. All of a sudden, your food matters. What you ingest in your body actually matters. So, I've seen it, and I say that as I'm investing into 2 more locations. But I also have this mentality like, if this is what you do, this is what you do. But moving forward, I will be more food heavy with alcohol as a concept, outside of any random opportunities to do bars that I can do that. But I will be realistic with myself. My ego doesn't need to open a cool bar anywhere. More than my kids need to be able to be fed.
Well, I just kind of had this assumption going into today's conversation that, you were a young guy. You were 22 years old when you opened your first bar?
24 when I signed the lease.
24 years old when you opened your first bar on 6th Street in Austin. Man, I don't know the stories you must have as a 24-year-old an Austin bar owner. Wow. We'll have that conversation after a margarita.
Probably like most 24-year-olds. But it goes back to what I was saying about my business partners and I were actually, I like to think we're pretty good people, and we behaved. We worked hard. We drank a lot on our nights off, and we went to all the social functions, service industry functions, and we were part of the downtown Austin scene. But
you can't be in that and not in it. Like, you can still be responsible, but like, I'm just saying, you must have had some fun.
Yeah.
You must have had
how cool is it?
Life.
And for us to grow up poor and to be looked up to at a pretty young age by people that want what you have, and you're pinching yourself. I've been pinching myself since then. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here, and I own cool bars in Houston and Austin and Nashville.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I was assuming that eventually it was probably like you're at this different like stage in life where like that scene probably isn't as appealing as it once was.
No, and I remember at each, we graduated with our crowd. Chug and Monkey was a college bar. The Dogwood was a young adults bar, and we were, I'm 31. One day at Chug and Monkey, I turned around and I was like, I'm just in the way. I used to be able to, like, if the DJ was off, I'd just go to the computer behind the bar. On a Friday night, we'd save $300, and I would pick the music, and I knew what the crowd, how they would respond to each song. I knew what to play at 11.
Right.
I knew what to play at midnight.
I'm thinking about strategic hospitality again because it's so fresh. Because I connected. I had Ben Goldberg on the show. I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, and then I had his brother on the show, a partner, on this road trip. So I listened to Ben's episode, and then I talked to Max, and similar to your story, like, they were young. They were 22, 23 years old. They graduated college, and they wanted to open bars, and they were the target market in Nashville, and they got that wave before Nashville just took off. Same with Austin. They caught this wave where rent was low, and they could just, and they were the target market. They could just create what they wanted, and it just hit. But eventually, you age out of that market that does all the drinking if you're owning bars, right?
Yeah.
And now their model is we go to people who are the next generation, and we make their dreams come true.
Yeah.
We invest. We are the managing partners. So, like, you guys go be chefs and mixologists, and you know what's on trend, and you are the demographic. You're creating what they want, and we are going to be that layer above that manages the books, that does the marketing, that does the HR, that does all this stuff, and they become like the parents that oversee and let the kids be kids and create and go be.
And that's that's funny because that's what I'm planning to do in Nashville. That's what we're setting up right now because I don't know what's cool. I don't know. It's so intuitive probably for them. I know it was for us. We just created something that we were our target audience.
Well, much like this gentleman who was the owner of was it Mark's Max Lounge, who helped you get
Mark,
and he was a strip club owner. Like he created that opportunity for you.
He could make dreams happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what, as you evolve your 10, 15 years into your career, you can make dreams come true.
Yeah.
You can be the person who creates opportunity for others. And it's those people who go the distance. They climb the ladder and they bring people up.
Yep.
They lower a hand and they say, come with us. Like, you're going to the top of a building. I want to be the top of my building, and I want to share this building with you because together we can make this building fucking awesome.
Yep.
So let me give you a hand up here.
Well, our partner, we have partners. The bars that are in other cities, we give a percentage of equity to the person that's going to move there and basically be the GM. We want to see people grow. We were door guys. We know. You started at the door. I started at the door. That's all we know to do is to help. Even here at Mama Betty's, when I'm talking to somebody or when I'm talking to in the manager meetings, I even say, like, I want you, if you ever came to me and someone came in this restaurant and said, hey, you're really good at your job, I'm going to open a Tex Mex restaurant in South Austin. I want you to come and you can be a partner with me. I would literally give you a high five and say, anything you need from me, I will help you. Like, you're bettering yourself. I would like to create an atmosphere where they wouldn't leave, and I have the most awesome managers, a team of competent people, and I would love. We're all going to come up together. I don't know where this Mama Betty's will take us. We're opening a second location. Sky's the limit. I think sky's the limit. And I've seen expansion. I know what it looks like, so I know what to look out for. But like that guy right there actually is my main guy here, and he's good.
Yeah.
And I do my best to take good care of him. I'm here for him, and I will show him if he has. I'm an open book to all my people, but I would love to see everybody own their own thing. Like.
Right.
What's the point of having 100% of something when you can have 90%?
Pie is always
of
better. Think about any meal you ever had. Were you eating it alone?
No.
The meal's always better when shared. It's the company. It's the journey. It's going there with people, bringing people with you. That's the fun part. That's the joy. So when you're opening Mama Betty's, and this opened in 2023?
2022, March 2022.
That's right, 2022. What were you going to do this time different? Why? Like, what were you like? What was you weren't? You said you never were a P&L guy.
No. So this opportunity came during COVID. Well, we had just borrowed millions and millions of dollars from the bank. They weren't loaning money. I can't go to the bank and say, hey, I know we owe you $7 million, but I'm opening a restaurant. They're just not going to loan money to a restaurant. So my landlord at Chug and Monkey is a successful real estate. He's a businessman. Two landlords, they're partners together. I was like, okay, well, I have a little bit of money. I'm going to, we did it in Dogwood, Fort Worth, but I'm going to raise money. I'm going to go collect friends and family. I'm going to own 60%. I'm going to buy 10.
It's all from Mama Betty's.
This is from Mama Betty's.
How much money did you say you needed to raise?
I thought it was 990.
Okay.
It ended up being 200.
Okay.
Excuse me, 2 million.
So yeah, it's always
this
double.
Is COVID.
That's like the rule of thumb. Like, what do you think you're gonna need? Double it.
Sure.
Because it's probably gonna take twice as long as you think, and that's probably where most of the money is gonna go is in paying for the people, or just like you rip up the floor and like, oh, I have to replace this plumbing, or like there's always something that you're not accounting for. Double it. So you thought you were gonna need 990, and you ended up getting 2 million.
It took me $2 million to turn a Mexican restaurant into a Mexican restaurant. That's kind of embarrassing when you say that out loud. Like, what are you doing? But that's
hindsight being 2020. Would you have done it differently?
No. The overdoing it in certain parts, from the sound system to the lights to moving a bar that was already there and rebuilding it, is what is built into
why did you need to move the bar? So the bar right now, you walk in the front door, it's smack dab straight ahead.
Yep. Well, there's
one on the side too. Side bar.
Well, there's a sliding door over here on the far right. That used to be the bar. It was an island bar.
Okay. With
the TV almost touching the ceiling.
Okay.
And where the garage doors are behind the bar, that was a sliding door.
Okay.
To go out to the patio.
Got it.
So I remodeled it. But
got it.
As far as layout, I know you just did a show on layout, and I haven't listened to it, but I just
Stephanie Robson, badass.
I just obsessed about. I need 26 linear feet of bar, not 8, if I want to be busy. So,
is that a rule of thumb that you picked up on?
Bars, yeah. For high volume, linear feet of bar matters.
Yeah.
Accessible, inviting.
Why 28 feet?
because that's what fit over there. I could have
Okay.
a sliding door and that bar.
Got it.
But I know it's 28 feet because it was a big deal to me. Like when I'm designing the new Mama Betty's on Burn It, I'm like, well, how many linear feet is this bar? And it's about the same. I don't remember, but that's just a big deal of what you can crank out when you're actually busy.
Right. So it was
million.
worth it.
So
2 million.
yes. Oh yeah.
So you thought approximately $1 million, ended up doubling it, $2 million. Worth it, every penny.
Oh yeah.
How much of that did you put in yourself out of that $2 million?
800,000 total.
Almost half of it. Well, I mean, so you almost had all of it on your own.
Yeah. So I got these.
That you thought you were going to need.
I presented to my very awesome old landlords, mentors, business partners. I said, hey, I want to sell you 10%, please. I want to sell you 10%, please.
10% of the total amount
of the ownership equity.
Equity. So
Yeah,
you're
I want
giving
you-
away equity to get this money.
To
You're
get
not
money.
looking for like a loan with interest that you're going to pay back. You're
Not yet.
okay.
So then, and I'm like, I'm going to go to friends and family for the other 10%. And they're like, hey, I brought him here. I walked him through the vision. I'm showing him. I'm like, I think I can do this. I know I don't know how to cook, but I know what I want to do here. And they're like, man, we don't want to be investors. We want to be partners.
Okay.
And this is how we'll be partners. And they had an interesting setup. They're seasoned veterans. And
What was their proposition? How to be partners?
70-30. And the 70 comes up with 30% of the money. The 30 comes up with 70% of the money.
70-30, 70% comes up with 30% of the money, meaning 70% of the ownership comes up with
Me.
30% of the. That's you.
Yes.
And you had the 800,000.
Not yet.
Okay.
So, and then there's a percentage that's a loan. So loan and personal, we service it with debt. We loan the company money and we pay ourselves back. So they need me. We all need to loan the place company. If me, the operator, loans the place money, I'm incentivized to pay the investors back because I'm paying myself back. That's the general
Got it.
theory of that. But in the agreement, if we went over budget, I had to come up with it.
Got it.
So I started coming up with it because I didn't want to bother these two very busy, successful men. I didn't want to tell them I had screwed up and miscalculated. Electric was not 60,000; it was going to be 300,000.
Damn.
That stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I started literally running out of money. Like I can't cover this.
It's not hard to do in the current marketplace. I mean, you were building restaurants and bars 2005 to 2018,
Yeah.
right? When the economy was good, and then after 2020, like the cost of goods just went crazy.
And we were
And
notorious.
labor with like a construction.
Well, we were notorious in the bars for going over budget. We weren't organized. We weren't necessarily construction smart, but we always had cash flow from our other businesses to pad it.
Oh, and then you sold those.
Well, we'd hit the ground running and we'd pay ourselves.
But you didn't
back.
have that cash flow anymore.
No, I had no more cash flow.
Yeah. So you went to you got 70% of what you needed from 30% of your partners.
Yes.
And you were the other 70%. So you have 30% of your business is owned by partners. Got it.
Partners. So I went over budget. I patched it together as much as possible, but I had to go back to him and say, I need to up our injection. I'm already this over. And one of them rightfully lost his shit on me, as he should have, as part of my learning experience. But it all worked out, obviously. But the biggest lesson I've learned is paying attention to financials. And now in my personal career trajectory, I owe these guys a monthly operation state. I have to explain to them on a monthly basis, this is what's going on at our business. So I have these bookkeepers that they're not, I can't trust anything I see, so what's the point of even looking at it? So then I find this company, Cerboni, that I spoke to you about. So now I have access to real P&Ls. And now I'm getting these sessions with my partners where they sit over a P&L with me and like not only analyze, but like go over the whys of why is it alphabetized if it's not most important, like really getting it collectively looking at a P&L and like, well, why is the taxes over here when it really should be a cost of good, and who says comps are a marketing, why is anything for free? Like I was just challenging every aspect of analyzing financials. So my responsibility to my partners, I now look forward to. I wake up early when the month's over, and the Cerboni tells me, "Hey, your books are ready to go for P5." I get on my computer, and I can access everything, and I can just sit there and learn.
Yeah.
And I can see now. I can see because you have accurate books. You can see what's going on.
What gets measured gets minded.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a pulse on every aspect of your business, and you know exactly to the penny where all the money's going, you know, what are your theoretical versus your actual? Oh, there's a gap there. Where's it going? Yeah. Then you just get into like this investigator gadget like mode where you just start like, you know, going in there and then you start pulling out gadgets to solve the solution to like be a better version today than you were yesterday, right? And every month you get that pulse. How are we doing? Can I move that needle? Can I like? And that's why I love EOS on top of this stuff, because like, you know, you have the scoreboard as part of the EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, and you have your weekly meetings and your monthly, your quarterly, right? And you're constantly looking and saying, here are the numbers. What can we do in each of our individual collective parts in this organization to move that needle?
Yep. And
then you all focus on your lane and you come together. Did we move it? Right? But you get that it's like a mastermind within the organization. But like, you need to have a finger on that pulse. You need these systems in the back end, like giving you that data so you can make these decisions.
I don't even know what our net operating income was for 17, 20 years in the bars. I don't even know. I know we loved life, but I don't know. You know, on a good month, maybe it was 50%. I couldn't even tell you. And now I can tell you what it was last week.
So with this deal that you had, the deal was if you went over budget, then you'd have to go find the rest. But you ended up going back to your partners?
I went over plenty by myself, and then we upped. I forgot the exact amount, but maybe we got to 1.8, but I continued to spend money after we opened, like the outside vinyls that cover the patio. Like I extended the deck. That's all. So on the balance sheet, basically the startup costs when it was all said and done, which was probably, well, it was paid for cash flow, partially was $2 million. That's the number I put on it.
There's something we haven't really talked about yet, and I think it's a critical element to the success of this brand. Mama Betty's.
Yeah. Patio?
Yeah. Well, patio helps. I mean, you put money into extending that, but that is also butts in seats.
Yep.
That's how many more like tickets per night.
Yes.
So if you're operating on cylinders, if you're full, you add how many more seats? Probably like 40, 50?
50 to 60.
50 seats. That's a whole nother restaurant.
So that's the uncovered. I mean, what's funny is we're teetering. Like, you know, service is hard. It's hard to be busy, and we're, you know, you have to-go orders coming, you have delivery, you have a busy ass restaurant. It's hard. When there's bad weather and that makes that right side obsolete, we're all standing here like, what? How is this? You know, $17,000 Friday used to really hurt. Like, we used to teeter on crashing and burning. We just did $31,000, and we're all just standing here looking for something to. It feels like we're looking for something to do. There's something to do, but it's amazing how when the restaurant gets 60 seats smaller, how much easier it is to run it when it's busy.
Yeah, that's true. So, where's the photo of your mother?
That's the one right there. Yeah, you're looking at it.
Photo right there, that big one right there.
She's the white lady in front of the Hispanic people.
Shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a story there. I think you have like this iconic brand, Ninfa's. Am I saying it right?
Ninfa's. Yes.
That is synonymous with Tex Mex.
Yeah.
And there's this woman that was the director of operations who was there from 1983 to when she passed.
Sure, close, but yes, 20 years.
20 years.
Sure.
Right. How long was this organization around for?
It's still there.
Well, it's still there under new ownership.
Opened in the 70s. They built up. They overexpanded. They lost it in bankruptcy.
Yep.
And they around 1999, my date probably is not correct, but they lost it, and they started another brand called El Tiempo.
Right. When did she retire?
She passed. She moved on from there and had small jobs in the Dallas area.
Okay.
But she passed of cancer in 2010. Okay. So
sorry.
But
I guess my point is, it's like there's like this story.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's tied to legacy, and I think a lot of what makes a brand successful when there's this story, this person behind it, this person who gave her life to this industry, you know, and worked for like this like iconic brand for Tex Mex. So like being able to tie, and I think that you're like building this brand around her.
Yep.
Was really smart.
Well, you know, she worked her ass off. Like, she wore Ninfa's t-shirts on her days off. Like, she didn't wear makeup. She just busted her ass. She never had a lot. You know, me and my brother, when we were older, had jobs. I would give her part of my paycheck at different jobs, or we paid her bills while we were still in high school and even when I was working in college. but it is, and this is what my passion comes from. Like, it is absolutely, like, she was a very proud woman, so she was already proud. When she passed, I had already owned a bar. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a crazy life. Now, I have a building with her name on it that provides for her grandkids, and she could even fully financially provide for her own kids. But now she's providing for her grandkids. That's the way that's how this mentality is. So that I become obsessive about the way this place is perceived, who works here. If they don't give great service, I take it personally, because like there was a day when that sign physically went up on the building and I wasn't ready for it. I was like, because I've had failures, I've taken signs off of buildings. I was like, holy shit, my mom's name is in lights. It is fucking go time.
Yeah.
Like, this is it.
Yeah.
So like I feel like a train, like I'm shot out of a rocket. And that mentality, I think, has attracted some really good people. Yeah. And we're full steam ahead, man.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. So we're going to talk about, 2022, you opened March. The first year in 2023, you did 5.1 million. That was the first year.
First full year. So yeah, I met you. It's funny. I met you in January at one of those elite meetings, and I had just like finished my first 12-month review, right. And I was now with the software that I could.
This was January 2024. We met.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew 2023. Like, I was like, refresh.
Yeah.
5.114. I can't believe it. And I remember sitting in those meetings, and someone asked, "What are your sales?" I was like, yeah, 5.114. I'm like, oh my God. I'm not, my net operating profit was probably 10% at the time.
Yeah.
But I had this mentality, like, we got to keep beating it. Like, I'm not done.
Yeah.
I never projected that with my investors, 5 million.
Are they happy?
Oh, I hope so. They're awesome. And they're happy for me. They're not, this isn't paying their mortgages, I don't think.
So, I mean, but now you're at 6.5. So the word got out. You've continued to scale almost 20% or more.
Yeah.
You've scaled by 20%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you went from a 71 prime cost to a 57% prime cost. So like since 2023, or was that 20? No, that was 2024.
Beginning of 2020.
So, and now we're in 2025. What were the biggest differences in 2023 to 2020? The full year of 2023, the full year of 2024.
Trust from the community.
Okay.
Like, it was bumpier in the beginning. We've been pretty much loved by most, but we screwed up more, and over time we just screwed up less. There was a price raise. Like, if I'm inconsistent with my fajitas, how can I look you in the eye and charge you X amount when I'm not even 100% confident they're going to come out right?
Right.
When they start coming out right, and you look at your costs, and then your costs, and you trust your costs, you're like, I can charge more. This place over here, I think my fajitas are better. They charge this, so I can charge a little less than them. Next thing you know, I was stuck in a contract with a POS company. I don't need to say their name, but it was an archaic POS company. But,
what are you with now?
Toast.
Okay.
So I've been eyeing Toast for a year and a half. We have all these 12 tops, and I would watch our servers walk up to the 12 top and spend 10 minutes writing down their order. Then they would go get back in line at the POS system and spend 10 more minutes entering it with a couple of now they have 2 chances to screw it up, when they wrote it down and when they enter it.
Yep.
So I was like, I had fantasy dreams about handhelds at tables for 12, taking the drink order, hitting send, taking the food order. The drinks are coming when you're leaving the table. Like, we're busy. We're on an hour and a half wait. We should have handhelds. I got into it with focus, like, let us out of our contract. Apparently, whatever parent company owns whatever parent company actually makes the handhelds.
Yeah. But
whatever. They wouldn't give me handhelds.
Okay.
And I just wanted out. So I found the date. I sent him a Cerboni. I had Cerboni help me with like a worded letter, like, this contract is over on this date. I paid Toast 7 months in advance, full out. We had the cash. I was like, take this money. Let's start setting up Toast right now.
Yeah.
And the day we could switch over, we did. And then that made instead of having 10 iPads taking delivery orders, it all funnels now. It's all integrated.
Yeah. So
there's one screen. This is your delivery and to go. We just became more efficient. And the community trusted us more. And we're active with fundraisers. We're we're deep in the community. This is the closest restaurant to my house. I could
wow.
walk here if I really needed to. I don't do that, but I mean, I'm all over the local social media, Facebook pages, and I'm selling. I'm not. It's not even. I come across with this much passion about this place all the time. I swear by this place.
Well, the thing was, like, when you believe in it, it's not selling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, that's the trick. I think before we hit record today, I think there's 4 freedoms. And I got this from Dan Sullivan and from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, the authors. Ben Hardy, I think, is basically taking Dan Sullivan's work. He wrote The Gap in the Game, Who Not How, and 80 or 10x is easier than 2x. And the big, oh my God, I'm trying to quote the quote, and I forgot what the quote was, or like reference the quote. What were we talking about? This is embarrassing. It'll come back to me as soon as we pick up the train of thought. I always want to give credit where credit's due. Okay, 4 freedoms.
4 freedoms.
4 freedoms. So the 4 freedoms are freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationships, and freedom of purpose. And they talk about that, and it's kind of like this, like, escalating, like, these are the, but I think most people they want freedom of money, and they focus on money, and they want freedom of time. They want the money so they can pay the people, so they can get the freedom of time. And there's freedom of relationships, the people you get to choose to work with, and your freedom of purpose. I think to get the freedom of money and freedom of time, you have to flip it. And you say, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
What is my why? What do I love? What can I be passionate about? What do I love so fucking much that is infectious? That when I'm talking about it, like, I just love it, and it sells itself because the passion's there, the belief is there. And then if you focus on the next thing being relationships, who do I want to do this thing with?
Yeah.
Who do I love the most? Who do I believe in? Who do I want to take with me? Who do I want to create opportunity for? Who do I know doesn't even know how amazing they are, and I want them to know their full potential? Like, who are those people?
Yeah.
And how do I promote those people and bring them, And then if you're doing those 2 things, you can work 80-hour weeks. You can be on your spare time going to events, talking about the things you do, and not be tired about talking about it. And, like, time just flies. You have freedom of time because you have freedom of purpose, and you're doing it with people you love.
Yeah.
And then the money will just fucking knock down your door.
You can't. If you chase money, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And that goes down to service. The servers. I've tried to tell them, hey, don't worry about if they're going to tip or not. If you concentrate on giving the best service possible, money's just going to find you. So Don't get too upset about a bad tip. Don't get too excited about a great tip. Just do. If your goal is for the guests to be like wowed and they want to come back, if your goal is for the guests to request your station when they come back, you're going to make more money than the person that's worried about if they're making a 20% tip or not.
Yeah. Dude, I totally lost track of time. We're over by 3 minutes. Do you have some place to be? Because I can wrap it up fast.
Good.
Okay, cool. So you increase your revenue from 2023 to 2024 from 5.1 to 5.6 million. You go from a 71% prime cost to a 57% prime cost. Was that increase in your or that decrease in your prime cost mostly due to the increase in revenue?
No, it was all a management. There's a rule of having 1 manager per $1 million of sales.
Okay.
And we were understaffed a lot, and then I started attracting good quality help that weren't treated too great at other places.
Right.
And so each person that is on our management team has brought a different perspective and has a different experience. And it was like, hey, this is what forecasting labor is. And all of a sudden, they started trimming it off.
Didn't it come with 365? Restaurant 365? That's a part of... They don't have, like, sales forecasts and, like, labor forecasts?
I don't use it. I don't know. I used that more for inventory and bookkeeping, basically.
Got it.
But
purchasing,
even like just unofficial Excel docs that this one manager, I hired him and he literally started paying for himself immediately. Like, he literally paid for himself by keeping an eye on labor. I've brought in a lot of talent.
Are you using any labor management tools? What is your tech stack today?
Tech stack, I mean,
Toast, Restaurant 365, and you're using Restaurant 365 primarily for accounting, general ledger, budgeting, purchasing, costing recipe cards and all that.
Yeah, stuff. And that's such a monster. It's all, now that we have manpower, we're still inputting recipes and stuff. Like, I use Open Table for front of house. Toast tables we don't really like yet. I want to figure that out. But outside of that, I text the managers. We don't use a messaging app or anything. Okay. Hot schedules to make the schedule.
Yep. Hot scheduling, they must have predictive labor features.
Maybe.
They must.
They must.
I'm pretty sure they do.
They must.
I know 7 Shifts has some pretty good tools. So Toast, Restaurant 365, Hot Schedules, Open Table for marketing. What about your website?
I'm proud of my website. We used Spot Hopper, and I got tired of every time I'd pull up a restaurant's website, I could tell it was Spot Hopper, kind of like Toast. I like Toast a lot, but I don't like that I can see Toast coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
So I got with a friend, and he had me pick out a template of a website, and I spend a lot of energy getting good video and photo content of this place. I'm very proud of it. So I picked a template that showcased, for our website, that showcased our brand, basically, our food, our ambiance, and then, of course, Toast's online ordering module is awesome. But I'm very particular about the way the brand comes across. I've just hired a marketing company, Kaizen Marketing. My social medias, I'm pretty proud of that too. I kind of looked at social media. I wasn't spending whatever percentage points of my sales that I should on marketing, and I kind of used it as an excuse to try some really fun stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Basically doing trends that other people have done and doing our own twist of it. So I'm starting to spend more money on marketing, and it's for about a year now. I really upped our budget.
How much do you budget for marketing?
I'm spending $5,000 on marketing. $3,000 that's management. Yes, I mean, if you count marketing, also any school that asks for a gift card, they're getting it, and I try to contribute as much as I can if I can. Yeah, that falls under marketing.
Oh man, don't let everybody know.
Yeah. So I've gotten up. We hired a PR company for a little bit, and I'm going to rehire them when we do.
Who's the PR company?
Giant Noise. They are an awesome local, mostly Texas, restaurant and entertainment kind of PR company.
Okay. Kaizen Marketing. So when did you bring Kaizen on?
Probably September. A local company got bought by them, and he's like, because I was always like, hey, I want to put geofences everywhere. I want to make a cool video, and they were able to, but I could never commit the resources to it. Well, when I realized that it's okay to spend 2% of your sales on marketing,
it comes back.
Yeah. But I'm like, it was a free ticket to try some stuff.
Yeah.
So I went to my friend whose company was absorbed by Kaizen. I was like, hey, let's go for it. I want to be the first in Austin, at least try to be the first and the best at some fun social media stuff.
So what was the stuff that they started doing that worked? What's on social media actually worked for you guys? What is your marketing strategy and approach?
I watch Reels all day. I see one I like. I copy and paste the link, and I add it to my Notes app. And then I clean that up, and I put it in an email, and I was like, hey, I want to film these 12 this Monday. Then I come up with a scene, actors, or whatever, ideas, and how to implement them here. We filmed 12. And I kind of thought I was just kind of playing with free money. I was just more of a hobby. Then people showed up and they were like, hey, I've never heard of you before. I came 25 minutes away because of that one video where the soccer ball hits the bald guy in the head. And yeah, this food's really good,
I struggle with social media personally. I think it's because I'm alone all the time. And I feel like social media today is very much like a group effort.
Does it remind you you're alone? Is that what it is?
I'm just not the kind of person that's going to pick up a phone and start doing a fucking silly video. This is not who I am. I've never been that guy.
Yeah.
I don't even like being on the social media.
Yeah.
I'd rather be on the earth than online.
Yep.
I'd rather be behind the wheel of my truck, sitting across the table. I'm the person that wanted more than nothing to get away from Zoom so I could go meet people in real life.
Yep.
I just like physical things. I like human interactions.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen me on my phone since I've been here?
Right.
I don't know if I'm hardwired for it, right? So I'm not arguing that social media will work, but I think that we live in a world, if that's the only option, then it's a world that's just diversity is good.
Yeah. What would you like? Are you saying what happened to billboards? What do you like? Do you think there should be?
No, I think marketing makes sense. I just think that I think I'm good at marketing when it comes to psychographics and pulling on the strings of hearts and understanding messaging and communicating. But I'm not the person that's going to sit on a phone and
copy and paste links
and just research and stare at other people doing stuff. I don't know. Just I'd rather go put my time and energy into relationships.
It's MySpace came out while we owned Chug and Monkey.
Yeah.
And I just it was cool. It was like a tool. Like I could make a flyer on Photoshop, save it as a JPEG, and post it, and these people would see it. Like, how did we promote before? How did a small chugging monkey promote in 2000 before there was MySpace? So
Right.
I've been able to stay engaged to where I can have a sense of, once again, I'm my own target market, but like this resonates with people. Like, put this out there. Less is more, or post this often, or you can tug on heartstrings and post, like,
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, my style tends to be like 20-minute long like monologues.
yeah.
And like I'll be like, that was like what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'll look. I was like, oh shit, I went for 20 minutes. So like I just like get going, and like I'm not gonna put my time and energy to condense down a 1 minute thing. It's just like not in me.
It's not you.
But I'm not arguing that social media doesn't work, because I've spoken to a lot of people and there's proof, that it works. I think I've reached this point where I need to like build a team around me and have somebody who loves that shit follow me around the country and say, just tell me what to do. Like, I'll be your I'll be your monkey, but like after you hit like the stop record, like you take it from there.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm gonna like, I don't have the patience to sit and tag and do all that other stuff too. Like write the copy. Like I hate communicating with my thumbs, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm OCD about it. That's
but like,
it works for you. And that's also why your podcast is successful. You're yearning for the connection.
Right.
So you have 2-hour conversations every day.
And they go by so fast, man. We're at 2 hours and 7 minutes right now, and I love it. And this is what I love, man. But so to your point, you're really just kind of doing your research. You're seeing what other people are doing. You're looking for innovation and ideas, and then you say, let's sort of make it the Mama Betty's way. And then you kind of like take it. If you're not following Real Tacos, do you follow Real Tacos?
Oh yeah, I just copied. I'll show you the video.
Miguel
afterwards.
and Damien.
I don't know them, and I think I saw that you
Can I
interviewed them
introduce you?
recently. I would love it.
Yeah. So I'm actually hoping, keeping my fingers crossed. I was in Atlanta on my way here, and I know that they're amazing with social media.
I've literally, they have trends that I have mimicked.
Yeah, they started their own marketing company, and they teach other people to do. I don't know if you know that or not.
No, I had no idea.
But they were really big into leveraging influencers, and what they're doing right now, I think, is really good. I don't know how much money that, whatever the rates were, like, how much does it cost you, Mr. Influencer, to come in here? $5,000. Here you go. But that influencer might have 1.5 million followers, but that's 1.5 million followers around the world. So instead of paying that influencer $5,000, now what they're doing is they're saying, okay, well, how many influencers can we buy? Or if we could take that 5,000 and break it down to $50 for each influencer, and instead of going to this influencer, we go to our guests, and like now it's like I think that what they're finding that works the best is giving $50 to 100 of their guests, their most loyal guests, and saying, make a reel telling people why you
regardless
love us.
of how many followers they have, or if they're an influencer,
because their 100 top guests are in their target market, are mostly like other people who are like, they're the people that know, love, and trust them are likely also your target market.
Yep.
And they're in your actual demographic.
They like it. They already like it.
They're already in this community.
Yeah.
So like it hits harder.
Yeah.
Because like that $1.5 million or that 1.5 million followers for the big money influencers, that's all over the world. Maybe they're like got like really great body, or they're beautiful, or they shake their butt a lot and people like it. But like, is that your target market?
Right.
But if they're in your community and they literally live like within 15-minute drive from you or 30-minute drive from you, like that's going to hit so much harder. So they're using their guest to be the influencer.
That's brilliant.
And they're saying they're having amazing results. And I want to get them on the show to do a workshop about how that, like, to get more into like how they track it and like what's working. But
so the $50 gift card probably, or $50 cash?
I think it's cash. Or if it's gift card. I mean, I think it's cash.
That's
Do
cool.
whatever you want with this.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Those guys are great. Like, I literally
They're
I
very
came in here
innovative.
on my own. We have a film crew normally when I do those 12 on a Monday. I came in on my own on Friday night with my iPhone and a paper airplane copying. They have a paper airplane post. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I just had it edited. I'm pretty proud of it, but I'm not too proud to say that it's all
Everything's copied.
it's copied. Yeah.
Everything's
I'm not trying to act
copied.
like I'm Mr. Creative here.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the name of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Anything we haven't discussed up to this point that you want to get out?
No, life is good, man. I don't know where this. I feel like if you turn your back on something that's going well, especially a restaurant, it's almost impossible to get it back. So I have this mentality of like, go, and the wind is at your back, and I just want to stay on it. So yeah, that's really what I'm all about now.
Yeah, man. I've really loved today's conversation. We're going to wrap it up by asking these questions I ask everybody, and that is, what is one thing about your business, a value, a process, a system that's truly uncommon and makes you unstoppable?
I know I don't know everything, and I want to, and I have surrounded myself with a team of managers that make me better, and that I have insight that I can help them and point them in the right direction. But I hire people with a foundation that I think I can see growth, and I empower them to take us where we want to go. And the more they do of what they specialize in, it enables me to concentrate on the stuff I want to concentrate on. So hiring people.
I love that. The mission statement is to change the world through inspiring, empowering, and transforming the industry. We're going to change the industry by changing one person at a time, by giving them examples of what transformation looks like. So how have you personally transformed? How are you a better person today than the man you were when you got started in this industry?
I think it comes down to, it's similar to being a parent and being a leader. Like I've tried to become the leader, or the quote unquote boss or manager that I used to like to work for when I was a teenager. Like who when I was dead tired at 9 a.m, we were opening up for Mardi Gras or whatever, who inspired me to not complain about being tired but work. And it kind of goes back to being a parent. Like, what did I like about the way my mom raised me? What did I not like?
I'm going to build the whole brand around her.
yeah, right. But I want to be the parent. I want to hold on to as much of the positive stuff, the good stuff that I learned as a kid. I think like my kid, like, what does my kid need me to say or do, or how they need me to behave?
Yeah, man. I love that. And this is the last question. If you got the news, you'd be leaving this world tomorrow. All the memories of you, your work, and your restaurants would be lost with your departure, with the exception of 3 pieces of wisdom you could leave behind for the good of humanity and your legacy. What would those 3 pieces of wisdom be?
Smile.
1.
Even if it's forced, it'll put you in a good mood if you just keep it up long enough.
Yeah.
Does that count? Okay. The 10,000 hour rule, which I don't know a lot about, but if you're doing something you love and you put all your hours into it, it's kind of impossible not to be pretty damn good at it.
Yeah. 2.
And then treat people how you want to be treated. The
3.
delivery guy, the vendors, the people coming in and trying to sell you a tequila that you don't need or necessarily want, when most people are treating them like they're bothersome, treat them like they're a real person that you want to make happy. You want them to leave saying, they're not selling my tequila, but I'm going to come back and support that place.
I love it. This has been so much fun, man. Thank you so much. So this last question I'm going to ask you is really my North Star. It's how I find my future guests. I don't want to be the one to decide who should be made an example of. I think the industry recognizes success. Good recognizes good. Good attracts good. So who do you respect and admire? If you found out this person was a guest on the show, you'd be like, I want to know what they have to say.
I insist this guy is a guest. His name is C.K. Chen. We're from the same neighborhood in Houston, and I don't think we knew each other back then, but he's had a hell of a career. He owns a couple of restaurants. He's a partner in a Michigan Guide recognized restaurant, and he's doing some really cool stuff for a Hope Outdoor Gallery here in Austin that you might find some interest in. He's a really cool, dynamic, very tall Asian guy.
CK Chen, look out, man. I'm coming after you. I'd love to make that happen.
Yeah.
And how can we connect with you if we really enjoyed today's conversation? We want to follow up with a question or whatever. What's the best way to connect?
I'm carrier5hospitality.com. Jason at carrier5hospitality.com. Mama Betty's Instagram, mama.betty's. My personal Instagram, jasoncarrier1. And I like to meet and get connected with people throughout the business, whether they're selling a new labor software or maybe they've eaten here and they have an opinion on what they think I could do better, and they have some experience that would corroborate their opinion. I just want to get better every day.
I love that, man. Yeah. So that's Jason at carrierhospitality.com is the website.
Carrier5.
Carrier5. Thank you very much. .com. But this has been a lot of fun. I literally cannot do what I do without people like you making time in their very busy schedule to sit with me for over 2 hours, to get vulnerable, to get transparent. Sharing this information is going to change the world, and I just can't say thank you enough.
Man, thanks for having me. It's a mini dream come true. We didn't get into that, but it's been fun.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, dude.
Pleasure's mine, dude. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.